The story kicks off with this dude, Iwatani Naofumi, waking up from some trippy dream. Naofumi's your classic otaku, basically a guy who's super into anime and stuff. He's been chilling at home lately since he helped his troublemaker brother get his act together. Anyway, Naofumi decides to hit up the library to find something cool to read. While he's browsing, a bunch of books tumble down, and one catches his eye. It's got this red cover and is called The Records of the Four Great Weapons. The book's about these four heroes who are supposed to save the world from some massive disaster. Each hero has a special weapon, a sword, a spear, a bow, and a shield. Naofumi's like, wait, a shield? That's for defense, not fighting. But as he flips through the book, bam! A bright light flashes, and suddenly, he's not in Kansas anymore. Next thing he knows, Naofumi's standing in front of some priests. He looks around and sees three other dudesones got a spear, another's got a sword, and the last guy's holding a bow. Naofumi checks himself out and realizes he's got a shield strapped to his arm. The priests tell them they've been summoned as heroes to save their world from some big bad catastrophe. Naofumi's kinda awkward and quiet, while the other guys are already acting all high and mighty, making demands and stuff. The group gets taken to the king. On the way to the palace, it finally hits them they're not in Japan anymore. They've been transported to a whole new world. The king greets them and introduces himself as Altkray Melromark the 32nd. He explains they're now in a kingdom called Melromark and asks the heroes to introduce themselves. The sword guy goes first. This name's Amaki Ren, and he's 16. Then the spear guy, Kitamura Motoyasu, says he's 21. The bow guy, Kawasumi Itsuki, is 17. When it's Naofumi's turn, the king kinda ignores him at first, which throws him off. But eventually, Naofumi steps up and says he's 20 years old. So, the king breaks it down for the heroes, telling them about this big prophecy. Basically, the world's about to get wrecked, and they're the only ones who can stop it. He explains that the first wave of destruction already hit, which is why they had to summon the heroes in the first place. They barely managed to deal with it, but if another wave comes, the whole place could be toast. They've got less than a month before the next one hits. The king also lets them know they can check their stats by focusing on some icon in the corner of their vision. Turns out, all of them are still at level 1, so they'll need to go out, level up, and upgrade their gear to stand a chance. The more experience they get, the stronger they'll become. On top of that, they've got to find their own party members to team up with. The king warns them they can only use their special legendary weapons like, the sword guy can only use swords, no exceptions. He tells them to get some rest because the real adventure kicks off tomorrow. Meanwhile, potential party members will be gathered so they can meet them and pick their teams the next day. That night, the four heroes realize they're all from different versions of Japan. Naofumi, the shield hero, notices the others are already looking down on him, probably because shields aren't exactly flashy. The next morning, they all meet up at the palace. The party members are ready, and the heroes get to pick who they want. But here's the thing, nobody picks Naofumi. He's pretty upset about it, but then, out of nowhere, this cute girl from Motoyasu's group steps up and offers to join Naofumi's team. He's totally shocked that someone like her would want to team up with him. The king tells Naofumi he'll have to go out and recruit more members on his own. As a bit of a consolation, the king mentions Naofumi's allowance will be bigger than the other sate, 100 silver coins compared to the 600 the rest are getting. The crew heads out on their journey. The girl in Naofumi's squad introduces herself as Mine Sophia. Their first stop is a weapon shop. The shopkeeper shows off a bunch of swords. Naofumi picks one up, but he feels a weird jolt run through him. That's when he remembers he can't use anything but a shield. He starts stressing about how he's supposed to fight with just a shield. The shopkeeper uses some kind of magic to check out the shield and says it's got some crazy power, but he can't figure out much else about it. The shield is stuck to Naofumi's arm and won't come off. So, Naofumi decides to at least buy some armor. Later, Naofumi fights these balloon-like monsters to level up. They bite him, but he doesn't feel any pain. He manages to take down a few of them and collects their balloon pieces to sell. That evening, they head back to the weapon shop to get Sophia some fancy new gear. Afterward, they hit up a pub for food and drinks. Sophia tries to flirt with Naofumi, but he keeps his cool. After a long day, he crashes in his room. He's only got 199 silver coins left, so he hides them in the back of his shield before going to sleep. The next morning, Naofumi wakes up and realizes all his stuff is gone. Soldiers from the palace show up and drag him to the king, who's demanding to see him. When he gets there, he's thrown to the ground and surrounded by guards. They accuse him of a crime. Sophia shows up and claims Naofumi tried to assault her, but Motoyasu saved her. Naofumi is stunned. Sophia even gave Motoyasu the chainmail Naofumi bought for her the day before. The king says the crime is punishable by death, but they won't kill him since he's a hero. Naofumi tries to defend himself and deny everything, but no one listens. Furious, he demands to be sent back to his world. He realizes the king, the authorities, and everyone else look down on him because he's the shield hero. He also figures out that Sophia and Motoyasu set him up to rob him. Naofumi finds out he can't head back to his world just yet. He's told he has to take care of the catastrophe first. This ticks him off, and he shoves the soldiers out of his way. He straight up asks the king if he's planning to lock him up or not. The king says he doesn't have time for that because the catastrophe is about to hit, and he's got to get ready. Naofumi storms out of the palace, knowing his name, respect, and status are all trashed. The once chill and friendly Naofumi is now cold and keeps to himself. As he walks through town, people avoid him like the plague. He bumps into a shop owner who's ready to deck him, but changes changes his mind when he starts thinking Naofumi might actually be innocent. The guy gives Naofumi a green cape as a goodbye gift, saying it's worth 5 copper coins. Naofumi promises to pay him back someday. Naofumi finds some balloon monsters and takes a few of them down. He brings the pieces to a trader to exchange for coins. The trader tries to scam him, but Naofumi pulls out the monsters he's hiding under his cape and warns the guy to spread the word don't mess with him. The trader coughs up the money he owes. On his way past the weapon shop, Naofumi tosses in 5 copper coins to pay for the cape. Naofumi keeps living on his own. He figures out that his shield can be upgraded and even changed into different sizes and shapes if he unlocks the right features. One night, some thugs try to rob him, but he takes them down with the help of the balloon monsters he's been keeping under his cape. That's when he realizes he needs someone on his team to handle offense while he focuses on defense. Right then, a guy in a hat shows up and says he's got just the thing for Naofumi's problem. The guy takes Naofumi to his shop and reveals he's a slave trader. He offers all kinds of services, and even has demi-humans as slaves. He tells Naofumi to check out his collection and pick someone. Whoever Naofumi chooses will be bound to him and will have to follow his orders no matter what. Naofumi looks around and picks out a slave he wants. The slave is a demi-human, part raccoon and part human. The slave trader tries to talk Naofumi out of choosing the girl, but Naofumi's already made up his mind. He pays for her, and the slave trader sets up their contract. He puts a seal on the girl's chest that forces her to obey her master. If she disobeys, she'll feel intense pain from the seal. Naofumi asks her name, and she says it's Raphtalia. He takes her and leaves the place. Next, he takes her to a weapon shop to get her a sword. After buying the sword, Naofumi pulls out one of those balloon monsters and tells her to take it down. She doesn't want to, but when the seal on her chest causes her pain, she has no choice. She finally gets up and defeats the monster. She earns experience points, and Naofumi gets some too. The shop owner explains that whenever Raphtalia gains XP, Naofumi will also gain it. After that, they leave the shop. Naofumi notices Raphtalia is hungry, so he takes her to a restaurant. Before going in, Raphtalia sees a sign that says demi-humans aren't welcome there. She hesitates, but Naofumi tells her to come in anyway. They sit down, and everyone in the restaurant starts staring at her, wondering why she's there. Nobody has the guts to confront them, though. When the waiter comes, Naofumi makes sure to order Raphtalia a delicious meal. She eats it happily, smiling the whole time. Later, they go out to hunt more monsters together. For now, they're just fighting balloon monsters. While they're hunting, Raphtalia finds out that Naofumi is one of the legendary heroes. She remembers stories her parents used to tell her about the heroes, especially the shield hero. Her parents always said the shield hero was kind to humans. Meeting him has been a dream of hers, and now he's standing right in front of her. That night, Raphtalia wakes up, freaked out from a nightmare. She remembers the time her parents were killed by a 3-headed monster. To save her, they pushed her into the water below, but Naofumi quickly hugs her and calms her down. The next morning, Naofumi heads to a herb shop to sell the herbs and medicines he made. Raphtalia waits outside, watching some kids playing ball. Naofumi notices she's interested in the ball, so he buys her one to cheer her up. He tells her she can play with it after they finish their work. Later, they rent a room to stay in. Naofumi takes care of Raphtalia like she's his little sister. They train together and stick by each other all the time. While in the forest, they come across a rabbit. Naofumi catches it and tells Raphtalia to take it out, but she hesitates. He explains that she needs to get stronger to prepare for the disaster that's coming, and that he needs her help. Remembering how the monster killed her parents, Raphtalia quickly steps up and takes out the rabbit. They visit the weapon shop again so Raphtalia can get a new weapon. Naofumi asks the shop owner if there's a place where they can fight more monsters and sell what they find. The shop owner suggests they head to the village of Loot. When they get to Loot, they find a trader and sell the rabbit pelt. Naofumi asks the trader if there's a way to make some money. The trader tells him about a coal pit nearby with valuable ores, but it's now full of monsters since the first wave hit. After hearing this, Naofumi checks out his shield in a hut. When he activates it, a green energy shield appears, and he's surprised it can do that. So, Naofumi and Raphtalia head over to the coal pit. They're busy collecting ores when this 2-headed beast shows up out of nowhere. Naofumi grabs Raphtalia and dives into the water to dodge it. After that, he figures out another way to climb back up. He asks Raphtalia if this monster is the same one that killed her parents, but she says it's not. Naofumi decides to take on the monster and pins it down, telling Raphtalia to attack, but she freezes up, still haunted by her past trauma. Naofumi tells her to get out of there while he holds the monster off. Raphtalia realizes that if she doesn't pull herself together, she's gonna lose Naofumi, just like she lost her parents. She's not about to let that happen again. She pushes through her fear and attacks the monster. Together, they take it down with some solid teamwork. Their plan's pretty straightforward. Raphtalia goes on the offense while Naofumi handles defense. It's been a week since the fight in the coal mine. Naofumi's shield has leveled up with a bunch of new abilities. He and Raphtalia hit up the weapon shop so she can snag a better sword. Naofumi's also planning to grab some armor since he got banged up fighting a monster. Raphtalia thinks armor will help keep him safe, so it's a no-brainer. She's been growing like crazy, and her body's already changed a lot in just a week. She picks out a sword she likes and even talks the shop owner into giving them them a discount. Naofumi grabs some armor for himself too. While they're there, he asks the shop owner if he knows when the next wave is coming. The guy tells him there's an hourglass in the church that's counting down to it. Once the last grain of sand drops, the wave will hit. Naofumi and Raphtalia decide to check out the church to see the hourglass for themselves. When they get there, the other heroes and their crews show up too. Motoyasu starts throwing shade at Naofumi, but Naofumi keeps his cool and doesn't say anything. Just as he's about to leave, Motoyasu corners Raphtalia and offers to protect her, calling her a beautiful girl. She's shocked to find out Motoyasu is one of the heroes, but she shuts him down, saying she's already sworn to fight for Naofumi. As they leave, Motoyasu tries to stir the pot by asking Raphtalia if she's heard the rumors about Naofumi. She hasn't, and she looks confused. But Naofumi doesn't let them stick around to hear more trash talk. That night, Raphtalia asks Naofumi what went down between him and the other heroes, but he brushes it off, saying no one would believe him anyway. He decides to stay quiet about it. As the wave countdown gets closer, Raphtalia promises Naofumi that she'll always be his sword. She thanks him for protecting her and for giving her the herbs that cured her illness. Just then, the last grain of sand in the hourglass falls. The sky turns blood red, and suddenly, they're in a new location. They spot the village of Lud in the distance, under attack. Without wasting time, they rush over to help. The villagers are relieved to see a hero show up to save them. Naofumi tells Raphtalia to get the villagers to safety while he distracts the monsters. Naofumi gets busy trying to grab the monsters' attention. While doing this, he keeps asking himself why he's risking his neck for people he doesn't even know. He's trying to figure out how to keep the village from getting wrecked. He climbs up a watchtower, rings the bell to lure the monsters, then sets the tower on fire and brings it crashing down on them. Right then, some villagers come back to help him out. They're determined not to abandon their home and are inspired by how hard Naofumi is fighting to save the village. He asks them to help hold off the monsters until everyone else can get out safely. Suddenly, a huge monster shows up, and Naofumi tells the villagers to run for it since they don't stand a chance. He begs them to think about their families. That's when Raphtalia shows up to back him up. Raphtalia stabs the monster with her sword, taking it down. Naofumi tells the villagers to leave while he and Raphtalia handle the rest of the fight. Meanwhile, the royal knights start firing into the village, not caring that Naofumi, the shield hero, is still there. Naofumi manages to shield himself and Raphtalia from the blasts. Raphtalia gets mad and tries to go after the knights, but Naofumi stops her. Another wave of monsters shows up, and even after what the knights did, Naofumi doesn't hold it against them. He still protects them and fights off the monsters. The knights and Naofumi team up to take on the monsters. They also start moving toward where the other three heroes are. Together, they manage to defeat the monsters, marking the end of the second wave. Meanwhile, the other heroes are feeling pretty confident, thinking the next wave will be just as easy. They start wondering where Naofumi is. The knights show up to tell them the king is waiting to reward them. Back in the village, the villagers thank Naofumi for saving them. They know they wouldn't have survived without him. Raphtalia feels good knowing she was able to stop some kids from going through the same pain she did. Inside the church, the hourglass resets, getting ready for the next wave of attacks. That night, the king threw a big party to celebrate their win against the monsters. While everyone's having a blast, Naofumi's just chilling in a corner. Honestly, he wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for the reward. Meanwhile, Sophia's doing everything she can to keep Motoyasu from talking to any other girl. She's super jealous and wants him all to herself. Out of nowhere, Motoyasu walks up to Naofumi and challenges him to a duel. Motoyasu's reason? He says Naofumi has a slave in his group, and a hero should be better than that. He tells Naofumi he can keep Raphtalia if he wins, but if Motoyasu wins, he's taking her. Sophia's just standing there with this smug look on her face, clearly in on the whole thing. Naofumi says no to the duel and tries to leave, but the guards stop him. Then the king gets up, starts yelling at Naofumi, and orders him to accept the challenge or face punishment. Naofumi has no choice but to agree, since the guards have Raphtalia now. She tries to explain that she's with Naofumi by choice, but no one's listening to her. A little later, Naofumi and Motoyasu step into the arena for the duel. The rules are simple. The fight ends when one of them is pinned down with no way out or gives up. The king and the pope are watching, and Sophia is loudly cheering for Motoyasu as he enters. The match kicks off, and Motoyasu goes all out, attacking Naofumi like crazy. But Naofumi holds his ground and blocks the attacks. He even manages to hit Motoyasu with his shield. Then, Naofumi unleashes the monsters hiding under his cape to go after Motoyasu and mess with him. He traps Motoyasu in a shield prison and tells him to give up. Naofumi drops his shield, and Motoyasu's already looking super beat. Dude's about to throw in the towel when Sophia butts in and blasts Naofumi with some magic. Naofumi's totally caught off guard, but the crowd, they couldn't care less. Then Motoyasu pulls out this crazy strong attack and slams Naofumi with it. Naofumi hits the ground, and Motoyasu's all like, yeah, I'm the champ now. But Naofumi gets back up and says he's not giving up yet. He calls out Motoyasu's crew for interfering, but again, the crowd and even the king just shrug it off. The king's like, didn't see a thing, and declares Motoyasu the winner. Sophia strolls up to Naofumi and starts roasting him, saying he's gonna be stuck fighting solo again. Then the king casually drops that Sophia is actually his daughter and calls her Malti. That's when it clicks for Naofumithis. Whole thing was a setup. The king and Malti planned everything to make Motoyasu look good. Malti straight up sabotaged him to boost her favorite hero. Naofumi's left wondering why they hate him so much. Like, all he did was get summoned as the shield hero. He's totally lost and doesn't know what to do. He gets so mad he's like, screw this world, Let it burn for all I care. He even tries to chuck his shield away, but it just boomerangs right back to him. That's when it hits him. There's no way out. He's stuck in this nightmare. Then he sees the seal on Raphtalia's chest disappearing, and she starts walking away. It crushes him. He drops to his knees, thinking about how everything's falling apart. But out of nowhere, Raphtalia comes back. She starts tearing into Motoyasu and Malty, telling them she doesn't need their help. She says Naofumi's always been there for her, even when she was on the brink of death. She asks if any of them could have taken care of her the way Naofumi has, especially since she was a slave. Right then, the other two heroes step into the arena and straight up tell Motoyasu he lost the duel. It was super obvious someone messed with the fight. Raphtalia tries to go up to Naofumi, but he snaps at her to back off. She tells him she believed all the rumors she heard about him, but now she knows he's not the kind of guy they made him out to be. Naofumi's still pissed and tells her to leave him alone because he already feels betrayed. Naofumi says no one ever believes him no matter what he does. Raphtalia tells him she believes in him and always will. She reminds him how he protected those villagers with his shield and kept them safe during the wave. She points out all the good things he's done. They end up hugging, and Naofumi breaks down crying. Meanwhile, Motoyasu is still thinking about splitting up Naofumi and Raphtalia, but the other two heroes shut him down. They manage to work things out and get everything back on track. The next morning, Raphtalia cooks a meal for Naofumi, and he really enjoys it. The king's handing out rewards to the heroes, but he's being shady and doesn't want to give Naofumi what he's earned. He says Naofumi lost the duel and doesn't deserve anything. But Ren and Itsuki step in and back Naofumi up, saying he actually won the duel if Sophia hadn't butted in. They also point out that Naofumi was the one who saved Loot Village from being destroyed by monsters. After hearing all this, the king has no choice but to give Naofumi his allowance. Naofumi and Raphtalia leave the palace, feeling pretty good about it. Not long after, Naofumi and Raphtalia head back to the slave merchant to get her slave crest redone. Naofumi doesn't think it's necessary, but Raphtalia insists it's her way of showing the trust her master has in her. The slave trader is impressed with how well Naofumi has treated Raphtalia since he got her. She's looking way healthier now. While they're there, they notice a crate of eggs on the trader's table. Naofumi asks about them, and the trader explains they're monster eggs. If you pay a certain amount of coins, you're guaranteed to get a monster chick, and if you raise it right, it'll be worth double. These monsters are called Philolial's big birds that pull carriages around town. Naofumi decides to buy one of the eggs. Later, the herb shop owner gives Naofumi a book full of herb and medicine recipes. It's a thank you gift from someone in Loot Village for saving them. The shop owner also tells him to check out the magic store because they've got something for him too. When Naofumi gets there, the owner gives him a grimoire with a bunch of magic spells he can learn. The other heroes got crystal balls to make learning magic easier, but Naofumi has to figure it out the hard way with the grimoire. The problem is, Naofumi can't read the language of this world yet, so he'll have to learn that first before he can use the grimoire. He wishes he had some kind of skill to translate the words for him. Raphtalia suggests they should learn together, and Naofumi agrees, saying it's a solid plan since they've got a month before the next wave hits. They decide to crash in Loot Village for the night, wake up early, and start grinding. In the middle of the night, Naofumi wakes Raphtalia up to tell her the egg is hatching. The bird immediately bonds with Naofumi and starts following him everywhere. He names it Philo, and within 2 days, the bird grows huge. Not long after, Naofumi and Raphtalia hear that knights are rolling into the village. Sophia and Motoyasu are with them, and Sophia's carrying a royal decree. Turns out, Motoyasu's been made the ruler of the region. On top of that, they're charging 50 silver coins every time someone enters or leaves the village. The villagers start complaining because the fee is way too high. Naofumi steps in and speaks up for them, saying there's no way they can afford such a ridiculous amount. The villagers back him up, getting louder, and they point out that it was the shield hero who protected the village when they needed help. Right then, Sophia pulls her sword on the villagers. At the same time, some mysterious people in masks and hoodies show up and hand Sophia a scroll. From the way they act and talk, Naofumi figures they're a big deal. Sophia then tells Naofumi he has to fight for the right to rule the village. At first, Naofumi says no, but the villagers beg him to reconsider, reminding him that if he doesn't fight, the village will end up under Motoyasu's control. Alright, so here's the deal. It's gonna be a head-to-head race between Naofumi's bird, Philo, and Motoyasu's dragon. They've got to do 3 laps around the edge of the town. The race kicks off, and things are looking solid for Naofumi and Philo. But then Motoyasu's crew starts playing dirty, digging holes in the track to mess them up. Even with all the tricks thrown their way, Naofumi and Philo dodge every trap and end up winning the race. Sophia's not cool with losing and tries to argue, but these mysterious hooded folks show up, and she's got no choice but to accept it. Turns out, the hooded people already knew Motoyasu's team was trying to cheat. On top of that, we learn Naofumi's magic is all about support and healing, while Raphtalia's got both dark and light magic going on. Realizing she's got no way to talk herself out of this, Sophia bails. Motoyasu leaves too, totally embarrassed, but he's still dead set on getting back at the shield hero. As a thank you, the villagers hook Naofumi up with a carriage, and Philo becomes their ride from now on. While they're traveling, Raphtalia gets carsick, so they have to stop for a bit. Naofumi tells her she's got to figure out how to deal with it since they'll be riding in carriages a lot from now on. On top of that, Naofumi gets a trader's pass, which lets him visit any village or town without paying fees. That's going to be super helpful for their monster fighting and leveling up adventures. The next morning, Naofumi wakes up and freaks out because there's a naked girl sleeping on his lap. he's totally panicking and trying to figure out where the heck she came from. Not long after, we find out that the girl is actually Philo. Turns out, Philolials have queens and kings among them. These queens and kings blend in with the rest, pretending to be regular Philolials. Turns out, Philo is a queen. Queens can shapeshift whenever they want, which is why they're considered a transforming species. Naofumi and Raphtalia take Philo to the slave trader to get a taming crest put on her too. It's a tough process, but they manage to get it done. Philo's still at level 19, but she's already super strong. Naofumi wonders how crazy strong she'll be when she hits level 70. Afterward, they bring Philo to the weapon shop to see if there's any clothing that won't rip when she transforms. The shopkeeper sends them to a tailor who can help. The tailor asks if they've got magic thread, which is needed to make the kind of clothes they're looking for. She promises to make Philo the cutest dress ever. They head to the magic store to get the thread, but the store owner says it'll take a few days to get it. While they're there, Philo spots a crystal ball and gets curious about it. They use it to check her magic abilities and find out she's got wind affinity. Since the outfit will take a few days, they'll have to wait before Philo gets her new clothes. While traveling, they come across a guy who looks totally wiped out. He's got medicine he needs to deliver to the next town ASAP. Naofumi offers to help, saying the guy can pay him back later with money or goods. Naofumi unhooks Philo from the carriage and rushes the guy to his destination in no time. Raphtalia stays back to take care of the carriage. Once they get there, they deliver the medicine to the guy's sick mom. While the guy goes to get water, Naofumi uses his magic to heal the mom. As payment, the guy gives Naofumi some potatoes worth 1 silver coin. Naofumi realizes he can make extra cash by helping people out. He heads back to Raphtalia and the carriage. In the next few days, Naofumi keeps helping people who need a hand. He's getting pretty popular in the area because of his skills. One day, a guy who sells accessories catches a ride with Naofumi and his crew. Not long after, they get stopped by a bunch of thugs. The thugs demand that Naofumi hand over the trader riding with him. They're all cocky, thinking they can take Naofumi and his crew because they've got some upgraded bodyguard, but they quickly realize they're way out of their league. Raphtalia and Philo take them all down in one clean sweep. After tying up the thugs, they spill the beans and admit someone paid them to mess with the trader and steal all his stuff. Naofumi asks the trader what he wants to do with them, and the trader says he'll just turn them over to the guards for punishment. The thugs start running their mouths, saying they'll twist the story when they get to the guards, and the guards will believe them over the shield hero. Hearing this, Naofumi doesn't hold back. He threatens to take them out for good. The thugs freak out, begging for their lives, and even offering to pay him off. So, Naofumi takes all their loot as payment. The accessory trader is super impressed with how Naofumi handled everything, and promises to teach him more about trading and business. He shows Naofumi how to make gemstones and even hooks him up with some useful knowledge and connections. Meanwhile, the other 3 heroes are off doing their own thing, living their separate lives. Not long after, Naofumi finds out about a spot where he can get gemstones used for making magic threads. So, Naofumi, Raphtalia, and the magic shop owner head to the mine where the gemstones are. Nobody's been to the mine in ages because it's crawling with monsters. While they're checking out the cave, their lamp suddenly goes out, leaving them in pitch black darkness. A creepy voice starts messing with their heads, filling them with bad vibes, but the magic lady casts a spell to snap them out of it. They get the lamp back on and keep moving. Eventually, they find the gemstones deep in the cave, but there's a big snake and a monster cat guarding them. They team up and take down the monsters, but Raphtalia gets hurt during the fight. It's just a small injury, so her master helps patch her up. They grab the gemstones and take them to the tailor, who uses them to make magic threads. She ends up making a gorgeous dress for Philo. When Philo transforms inside the house, the dress stays perfectly fine. Naofumi and his crew roll up to this village that's getting totally wrecked by these crazy vines. The locals are freaking out, saying the vines are taking over their whole town. To make things worse, some of the vines are turning into monsters and attacking people. They've called in a bunch of adventurers for help, but nobody's been able to fix the problem. The village leader shows Naofumi a group of people who've been infected by the vines, and it's bad, like the vines are literally feeding off their bodies. The villagers are desperate and beg Naofumi to save them. Nao's kind of a big deal around here now, so they're looking to him as their savior. He's honest though, and tells them he's not sure he can pull it off. But then he uses his magic and some medicine, and boom, it works. The vines on the infected people disappear super fast. After that, Naofumi's ready to bounce, but the villagers beg him to take out the big bad vine monster that's wrecking their town. They spill the tea and say it's Motoyasu's fault. Apparently, he brought in some miracle seed that makes everything grow super fast. At first, they were stoked about it, but then the vines went wild and started causing chaos. Turns out, the seed was made by some alchemist back in the day, but it was sealed away for a reason. Naofumi can't believe Motoyasu unsealed it and handed it over like it was no big deal. The villagers promise to pay Naofumi if he takes care of the mess. He's annoyed because he's always cleaning up Motoyasu's disasters, but he's not about to turn down the cash. They track down where the vine is coming from, and a fight breaks out. Naofumi's got some herbicide with him and plans to take out the monster vine using it. They keep chopping at the vine, but it grows back almost instantly. Philo Philo and Raphtalia go all out attacking the vine. After a few minutes of battling, Naofumi finally finds a spot to pour the herbicide. The vine immediately weakens and dries up. They also make sure to destroy all the seeds the vine had produced. The next morning, Naofumi uses his skills to tweak the vine's biology. He changes it so the fruits are now edible, turning them into a food source for the village. This helps ease their worries about famine. Naofumi trades the seeds for some goods and then sells those goods to an accessory trader. The trader tells him he needs help with a job. There's a nearby town with hot springs and inns, and he wants Naofumi to deliver some goods there. Naofumi's surprised to learn there are hot springs in this world too. After dropping off the goods, Naofumi and his crew decide to relax and enjoy the hot springs. Raphtalia feels a little jealous because Philo is super clingy with Naofumi. She wishes she could be closer to him too. Naofumi is always taking care of Philoweather. It's brushing her hair or doing something else for her. Raphtalia starts brainstorming ways to change things. She remembers how her mom once gave her dad a gift, and it made him love her even more. She figures giving a gift is the first step to love. That night, she sneaks off to the mountains to find some rare crystals that are said to be powerful when it comes to love. Right then, she hears Philo's voice behind her. Philo says she's on the mountain too, trying to grab some rare eggs for Naofumi. She figures if she gets them and he likes them, he'll like her more, and maybe even want to be with her. When Raphtalia hears the word mate, she realizes Naofumi's attention has turned into a competition between the two of them. Philo heads up the mountain, and Raphtalia follows. While they're running, Philo doesn't watch where she's going and almost falls off the mountain. Raphtalia tries to save her, but they both end up falling. Luckily, something breaks their fall. Turns out, it's a monster boar. The boar chases them, but they manage to get away without getting hurt. The next morning, they make it to the bird's nest to grab the eggs and a crystal. Just as they're about to get the crystal, the wild boar shows up again. It attacks the nest, and they lose all the eggs and crystals. Angry, they take down the boar instead. On their way back to town with the boar, two guys show up and offer to buy it for a lot of money. After getting paid, they use the cash to buy a tool to help Naofumi with his crafting. They tell him it's their way of saying thanks. He thanks them back. One day, Naofumi and his crew run into some travelers who say they're from a nearby village. The village has been hit hard by a plague, and it's not sparing anyone. Naofumi and his team hop on their carriage and head straight to the village. When they get there, the first villager they see recognizes them and rushes off to tell the village doctor that the savior has arrived. Naofumi's plan is just to hand over some medicine and bounce, but he ends up sticking around and using his magic to ease the symptoms of the sick. The villagers feel way better after that, but Naofumi knows it's only temporary, and they'll be back to square one soon. The nurse helping the villagers tells Naofumi they think the plague is coming from the wind blowing down from the mountains, where monsters live. About a month ago, the sword hero went up there and killed a dragon that had been nesting in the mountain. Later, some adventurer tried to grab the dragon's carcass but ended up dying. Not long after, people in the village started getting sick. They think the dragon's rotting body is releasing some kind of poison into the air. The villagers wanted to deal with the carcass themselves, but the mountain is crawling with monsters, and the smell in the area is so bad that regular adventurers can't even get close. Naofumi agrees to help and tells his team to gear up, but he's pretty blunt and harsh with the villagers, which makes Raphtalia realize it's just one of his ways to make sure people don't get too attached to him. They throw on some masks as they get closer to the mountain to keep themselves safe. They dodge the monsters on the way there. When they finally arrive, they're about to start tearing the dragon apart, but then it suddenly comes back to life as a zombie dragon. Naofumi wants everyone to bail, but Philo, being a Philolial, can't stand dragons and charges at it without thinking. The dragon starts spewing poisonous breath everywhere, and Naofumi knows they've got to take it down now, or things will get way worse. He's immune to the poison, but he's worried about Raphtalia, who's already coughing from it. While he's trying to get Philo to chill, the dragon straight up swallows her. Naofumi is crushed, thinking he's about to lose everything all over again. Overwhelmed by emotions, Naofumi lets his anger and frustration take over, especially all the crap he's been through since ending up in this world. That rage unlocks some crazy powerful magic, letting him go head to head with the dragon. But Raphtalia notices the magic is messing with his mind, and she's scared he'll lose himself. She tries to snap him out of it. Naofumi manages to pull himself together, but by then, Raphtalia is super weak. He tries to heal her, but his magic isn't working on her. Naofumi realizes the hate-fueled magic is the only way to beat the dragon, but he's got to make sure he doesn't let it take over his mind. He's totally clueless about what to do in that moment. Out of nowhere, the dragon just drops dead. Raphtalia wakes up thanks to some magic, but she's super weak. Then Philo pops out of the dragon, saying she's been ripping it apart from the inside. She also found this purple crystal inside the dragon, which seems to be its core or something, and she ate it. Raphtalia starts looking worse, and now Fumi knows they've got to get her out of there fast and give her some medicine. But Raphtalia tells him to chill and take care of the dragon's body first. After breaking the dragon's curse, they bring Raphtalia back to the village. Naofumi asks the doctor to do whatever it takes to heal her. The doctor says her condition is really really bad, and they don't have enough holy water to get rid of all the curses on her. A little later, Raphtalia is feeling way better after getting treated, but they still need that holy water to fully remove the curses. Philo hands Naofumi the mana crystal she got from the dragon. He puts it into his shield to power it up, but he realizes his level isn't high enough yet to use it properly. He also figures out that the shield power he used during the dragon fight isn't part of the upgrade path. If he'd kept using it, he could have ended up killing Raphtalia and even Philo, who was inside the dragon. He apologizes for being reckless, but the two tell him not to beat himself up over it. They share some of the blame too. In the end, the three of them are just glad they're getting stronger every day. After wrapping up a successful mission, Naofumi tells Raphtalia they've got to head back to the capital. He's worried about her health and says they need to grab some strong holy water to make sure she's fully healed before taking on more missions. While they're talking, they spot a bunch of Philolials crowding around a girl. They step in, and the birds scatter. The girl is shocked to see a Philolial as big as Philo, and she's even more blown away when she realizes Philo can talk. She says she's always wanted to chat with a Philolial, and gives Philo some dried meat to snack on. Then, she introduces herself as Melty. Naofumi notices how fancy her outfit is, and figures she might be a noble's kid. Philo shifts into her human form, which amazes Melty even more. Naofumi tells Philo she can hang out with her new friend until evening but needs to be back before sunset. Later that evening, Melty and Philo come back together. Melty says she needs the hero's help. She finds out Naofumi's heading to the royal capital and asks to tag along since she's going there too. Turns out, she got separated from her guards while playing with the Philolials earlier. Naofumi starts debating whether to help her. He thinks there might be a reward if she's really a noble's daughter, but it could also cause trouble if he's the one bringing her back. Raphtalia convinces him to help since the girl doesn't have anyone else to turn to. Naofumi agrees but tells Melty she'll need to promise a reward. Melty says she'll ask her dad to hook them up with something for their trouble. Meanwhile, one of the masked people is hiding in a tree nearby, watching Naofumi and his crew. The next day, the group sets off for the capital. That night, while camping, Naofumi realizes Melty is missing. He wakes up Raphtalia, and they start searching for her. They wake Philo, who reveals that Melty is actually curled up sleeping in her feathers. Raphtalia touches Philo's feathers, and notices how soft and comfy they are. She ends up resting on Philo too and falls asleep. Naofumi starts wondering if Philo's feathers have some kind of sleep-inducing magic. Not long after, they roll up to the capital. Naofumi tells Philo to drop Melty off at her spot and make sure to grab the reward while she's at it. Meanwhile, Naofumi and Raphtalia head over to the church. When they get there, the Pope greets them and brings up Naofumi's fight with Motoyasu, saying the odds were totally against him, but he still managed to hang in there. Naofumi isn't there to chit-chat though. He straight up tells the Pope he's there for their strongest holy water. The Pope says he's got to make an offering first, and the water's gonna cost him 1 gold coin. Raphtalia doesn't want Naofumi to spend that much since it's pricey, but Naofumi doesn't care as long as it helps her feel better. The first bottle they bring out is low quality, but Naofumi catches on right away using his scanning ability. The Pope scolds the person who brought it and sends her back to get the real deal. Once Naofumi confirms it's legit, he and Raphtalia bounce out of there. As they leave the church, Naofumi spots a guard running toward him. He tells Raphtalia to take off, and they both make a run for it. Naofumi suggests they split up since the guard's probably after him. After they go their separate ways, Naofumi runs into Motoyasu, who immediately attacks him. Motoyasu demands that Naofumi let the slave girl go. At first, Naofumi thinks he's talking about Raphtalia, but then Motoyasu drops a bomb he's actually talking about Philo. He even goes on about how beautiful and charming Philo is, and says he wants her for himself. Motoyasu keeps attacking Naofumi, even though they're out in public. The guard who was chasing Naofumi earlier shows up and tries to break up the fight. But then Sophia arrives and announces she's got an official decree that makes the fight between Motoyasu and Naofumi legit. Motoyasu is about to keep talking when Melty shows up with a bunch of guards. Turns out, she's Sophia's younger sister, which makes her a princess too. She chews out her sister and Motoyasu for putting innocent people in danger. She even threatens to snitch to their mom about all the stuff Sophia's been up to. Right then, Philo and Raphtalia show up. Motoyasu immediately chases after Philo, begging her to go with him. What he doesn't know is that Philo's the one who usually turns into the big, chubby bird. Philo shifts into her bird form and kicks Motoyasu away. Sophia tells the guards to take Motoyasu to a doctor. After Sophia and the spear guy leave, Melty tells Naofumi she needs to talk to him about something. They head to the weapon shop to have a private chat. Melty spills that she's next in line for the throne. She's ahead of her sister because her sister's always been a troublemaker. She also says she didn't know Naofumi was the shield hero. She's got something important to tell him, but before she can finish, Naofumi cuts her off. He says he doesn't trust a word she says. Naofumi's got serious trust issues with anyone from royalty. They've screwed him over so bad that he sees them all as the same shady bunch. He straight up ignores Melty, so she's got no choice but to bounce. As she's leaving, she remembers how her mom sent her to the capital to call out the king for treating the shield hero like dirt. She's bummed out that she won't get the chance to explain things to Naofumi. After she's gone, Philo gets all down in the dumps because Naofumi basically kicked Melty out. Raphtalia figures Naofumi's acting all cold because Melty's part of the royal family. Philo's super upset about her friend leaving, so she steps outside to sulk. While Philo's outside, some guard from earlier shows up with a couple of other dudes. She gets all hyped and runs back inside to tell Naofumi he's got visitors. At first, Naofumi's ready to tell them to get lost, but the knights say they want to join him on his journey. They saw him throw down during the last wave and were impressed, so now they want in. Turns out, they're from Loot Village, and they even brought a mage with them. They're all about paying him back for what he's done. Naofumi pulls out a pendant and says it's worth 150 silver pieces. He tells them to buy it if they're serious about joining him. If they can scrape together the cash, he'll let them tag along. The guys swear they'll figure out a way to get the silver. Naofumi's basically just being a jerk to everyone at this point. After that, the shopkeeper tells Naofumi, Philo, and Raphtalia that they can now upgrade their classes. Naofumi tells Raphtalia to pick something that'll keep her alive, even if he's not around. He drops the bomb that he's planning to head back to his own world once the waves are over. Raphtalia's crushed when she hears that. They head to the church to get the upgrades done, but Naofumi's floored when he finds out it costs 15 gold coins for a class upgrade. He tells Raphtalia to go first, and Philo will have to wait until next time. So, the nuns get this order, saying they can't give upgrades to the hero's party. Naofumi and his crew are ticked off and storm out of the hourglass. They head over to the slave trader's place. Naofumi explains how they're blocking him from upgrading his team. The slave trader tells him there are other countries where he can get it done, like the Mercenary Nation, Zeltobi, the Demi-Human Nation, Siltvelt, and a place called Shieldfrieden. He suggests Shieldfrieden, but it'll take about a month to get there by wagon, so they'll have to wait until after the next wave. The slave trader hooks Philo up with some sharp wyvern talons as weapons. To try them out, he gives them a job, clearing out monsters in the city's sewer system. Naofumi and his team handle it quickly, and Philo's stoked about how awesome the talons are. Later that night, Raphtalia tries to talk to Naofumi about when he's leaving, but Philo butts in and ruins the vibe. Naofumi ends up forcing both of them to go to bed. While they're asleep, he works on some gifts for them. The next morning, they're back on their trading journey. They run into some refugees from the north, and Naofumi tells his team to set up a kitchen right away so they can help feed the people. The folks spill the tea that the hero with the bow was the one who helped them kick out their king, but ever since, things have been a total mess for them. Naofumi and his crew head back to the closest town to gear up for the next wave, which is set to hit in 27 hours. Ren and Itsuki are chilling in the same tavern as Naofumi. Itsuki walks up to Naofumi, and Naofumi takes the chance to ask if he was the one who helped the people up north with their revolution. Itsuki admits he was. Naofumi then calls out the two heroes, saying he's been the one cleaning up all the chaos they've left behind during their adventures. This includes the dragon they killed and just left there to rot. Naofumi bounces from the tavern, telling them to quit making a mess everywhere. Later, the weapon shop guy tells Naofumi he's added the crystal they got from the dragon into his armor's chestplate, and now it has an auto repair feature. Right then, some guards show up with the 150 silver pieces Naofumi had asked for. Naofumi hands them a pendant, and tells them to keep the money, saying they should use it to get something better for themselves. He basically adds them to his party on the spot and warns them not to try anything shady, or they'll seriously regret it. Meanwhile, Melty's mom is talking to one of her masked agents, telling them to keep tabs on her daughter and Naofumi's group. She says it's Melty's job to figure out how to calm Naofumi down, and this is a skill she needs to develop as the future ruler of the country. Just then, the next wave of disaster hits. Naofumi hooked up his crew with some custom bling before the wave hit, each piece of jewelry he made by hand, and they're not just for show, they boost their stats. Raphtalia got one to help her mana recharge faster, and Philo's makes her quicker on her feet. Once everything's set, they get zapped over to the village where the wave is hitting. The guards from Loot Village, who had joined them earlier, are tagging along too. Fun fact, this is the same village where Naofumi helped out that sick old lady. But now he's straight up stunned because the old lady is out here wrecking monsters like it's no big deal. He's like, what the heck did I feed her? After locking down the village, Naofumi and his squad realize they've got to bounce, because this wave is dragging on way longer than usual. Something's definitely off, and they need to figure it out. They head to where the action's really popping off and spot Itsuki taking shots at this massive, creepy ship floating in the air. Itsuki lets them know that Motoyasu and Ren are already on the ship, so Philo grabs Naofumi and Raphtalia, and with one big leap, she lands them on the ship to help out. Turns out, the boss on this ship is a skull captain, and he's no joke dude's level 49, which is pretty high. But instead of focusing on the fight, the other heroes are busy bickering about what to do. One's saying this, the other's saying that, and nothing's getting done. Naofumi's had enough and calls them out for wasting time. He reminds them that if they don't take down the wave soon, the monsters are just gonna keep coming, and it'll be impossible to protect any of the villages. He yells at them for acting like it's all fun and games. Then he tells Raphtalia to use some light magic. With her light magic, they can see the shadows of the Soul Eaters on the ship and take them out pretty easily. But a few more Soul Eaters keep popping up on the ship. Just when things couldn't get worse, a dimensional Soul Eater shows up, making everything harder. Motoyasu tries hitting it with his lightning spear spell, but it doesn't do anything. That's when they realize this Soul Eater is way stronger than they thought. Naofumi tells Philo to use wind magic to try and push it back so they can hit it with long-range attacks. but the Soul Eater fights back with some big blasts. Naofumi uses his shield to protect his team, while the other heroes get knocked to the ground. Naofumi and his crew keep fighting and go after the monster. Philo uses trickster magic to make copies of herself and attack from different angles. Raphtalia jumps in to attack too, and Naofumi keeps them covered and safe. He knows their plan will take the monster down, but they need to hurry before the village gets in trouble. Naofumi tells Raphtalia he has no choice but to use the rage shield. He apologizes to her, but she's cool with it and knows it's the only way to beat the monster. When he activates the rage shield, he realizes the power isn't coming from his own anger anymore. It's pulling from the dragon's rage he absorbed earlier, which is even more intense. His face turns red, and Philo gets affected by the rage too. She gets stronger and goes after the Soul Eater, knocking it down while Naofumi keeps pushing it back with his shield. The other heroes are shocked at how strong and scary Naofumi has gotten. Raphtalia calls out the heroes for just standing around while Naofumi is putting it all on the line to take down the monster. Itsuki and Ren are the first to step up and help him out, but Motoyasu is still hanging back. Sophia is also telling him not to get involved. After a lot of pressure, the three of them finally team up to back up the shield hero. Naofumi's about to lose himself to his anger, but Raphtalia's touch snaps him out of it. Then he uses some crazy strong magic to activate the shield prison and trap the monster. He follows it up with a piercing spell that seriously wounds the monster and finishes it off. Everyone watching is totally blown away by Naofumi's power. The other heroes are shocked that the shield's way stronger than they ever thought. They even say it's basically a cheat. While they're still hyped about their win, another Soul Eater shows up, catching everyone off guard. Suddenly, the Soul Eater gets attacked from above by someone they don't know. The attack takes it out super easily. The person responsible lands on the ship they're on and calls the heroes weaklings for struggling with mid-level monsters like Soul Eaters. She also says only one of them deserves to be called a hero. She asks for the shield hero's name, but he tells her to introduce herself first. She says her name is Glass and tells the group to think of her as their enemy. She warns them that the real fight of this wave is just getting started. The crew is totally freaked out when Glass takes down the monster with just one hit. She tells Naofumi to come at her, but he just stands there, trying to figure out what's going on. He even tries to check her level, but there's no way to do it. Glass says something that sets off Motoyasu and the other two heroes. They hit her with their strongest moves, but it doesn't even scratch her. She's totally fine. Then, she casts a spell and blasts them, sending them flying across the floor. Naofumi chugs a potion to quickly get his energy back. He traps Glass in a shield prison, but she breaks out of it like it's no big deal. Naofumi and his team throw a bunch of attacks at her, but she shrugs them all off. They even summon a magic snake to bite her, but she's immune to the venom too. Things get real bad when Glass slices Raphtalia's sword in half. Naofumi tells everyone to get behind him and puts up a shield prison around them. Glass's attacks bounce off the shield at first, but she ends up smashing through it anyway. Raphtalia and Philo hit the ground after the attack, but Naofumi is still standing. Even Glass is surprised he's still on his feet after her last hit. She's trying to push Naofumi into using his rage shield against her. Raphtalia gives Naofumi the green light, and he activates the rage shield. Philo powers up too and charges at Glass, but Glass knocks her down like it's nothing. Naofumi goes after Glass, but she blocks his attacks without breaking a sweat. She hits him with a powerful spell, but he manages to hold his ground. Glass admits she's impressed by Naofumi's defenses and says he's living up to his hero title, but she's still waiting for him to show her his trump card. That's when Naofumi uses the same spell he used to take down the Soul Eater before. Naofumi traps Glass in the shield prison and attacks her with the sharp spikes of the Iron Maiden. He thinks he's got her, but she breaks free like it's nothing. Realizing they can't beat her right now, Naofumi decides they need to bail. He tells Raphtalia to use light magic to blind Glass, and Philo takes the chance to grab them and fly off the ship. But Glass doesn't let up, firing long-range attacks as they escape. Eventually, she backs off, saying she'll leave Naofumi alone until their next fight. She warns him that the waves will win in the end. Then, she vanishes, and the waves disappear with her. The sky goes back to normal. Naofumi starts wondering what the waves really are. He thought they were supposed to be world-ending disasters. He knows he has to get stronger before the next attack. He needs to find more monster fragments to upgrade his shield, and Philo and Raphtalia need to level up too. Later, Naofumi gets called to the palace to meet the king. The king admits Naofumi did a good job taking down the waves. Bosch saw it all through a crystal ball, but he demands to know how Naofumi got so strong. Naofumi isn't having it and refuses to answer. He even tells the king to kneel if he really wants to know. None of the guards dare to step up because they know Naofumi could take the king out easily. Naofumi makes it clear he just wants to beat the waves and go home. The king threatens to hurt his party members, but Naofumi calls his bluff, promising to hunt him down and make his life miserable if he tries. The king freaks out as Naofumi walks out of the palace, powerless to stop him. On his way out, Naofumi passes a woman who warns him to be careful. Melty heads to the throne room to tell her dad he needs to make up with the shield hero. She says the shield hero is super important for keeping their country alive. While they're talking, Sophia shows up, like always, and ruins the vibe. Melty tells her dad she just wants what's best for the country, then leaves politely. Later, she's seen meeting with the woman who talked to Naofumi earlier, but a guard is secretly watching them. Meanwhile, Naofumi tells the weapon shop guy he's planning to head to Shieldfrieden, so his crew can level up their classes. The shop owner helps them get all their stuff together, and they hit the road. Naofumi gives them gifts for the trip, including a new sword for Rapitalia. While they're taking a break, Melty and her guards show up. Melty tries to talk Naofumi into coming back to the capital and making peace with the king. She says they can't afford for the hero and the king to be at odds when the country's in trouble. Naofumi's still mulling it over when he spots a guard charging at Melty, trying to take her out with a sword. He jumps in and pulls Melty out of the way just in time. The knight accuses Naofumi of kidnapping the princess. One of the knights is recording the whole thing with a crystal ball while the rest of them gang up on Naofumi and his crew. Naofumi manages to keep the princess safe, and after the knights have had enough, they dip. Later, the video gets edited to make it look like Naofumi really did take the princess hostage, and it gets shown to the whole nation. Because of this, Naofumi and his crew end up on the wanted list. To stay out of trouble, they hide out in the forest. During the fight, they captured one of the knights, and Naofumi plans to grill him for answers. Naofumi finds a rosary on the knight, and Raftalia points out that it's from the Three Heroes Church, which worships the heroes of the sword, spear, and bow. Naofumi starts thinking the king is behind all the shady stuff going on, but Melty defends him, saying her dad might not be involved. Instead, she suspects her sister is the one pulling the strings. Naofumi isn't buying the idea that the king is innocent, but Melty insists. She begs him to at least give her dad another chance. Naofumi then tells the crew that he's decided to leave the country and already has a spot in mind. He tells Melty to come with them since it's too dangerous for her to go back to the capital. He promises to keep her safe, and Melty agrees to stick with the crew. The next morning, they start their journey. They ditch their wagon and head up into the mountains on foot. While taking a break, Raftalia asks Naofumi why he chose Siltvelt out of the 3 countries they could go to. Naofumi explains that he's done his homework and noticed that the borders to Siltvelt are heavily guarded. He figures there's gotta be a reason they don't want him to get there, which is why he picked it. That night, Melty opens up, saying she doesn't get why her dad is being so cold to the shield hero. She mentions that her mom had told him before to treat the shield hero better, but he's doing the exact opposite. Naofumi is surprised to learn that the queen is actually more powerful than the king. Turns out, the king married into the royal family, which is why the queen is the one in charge. Early the next morning, the crew hit the road again. The guards were right on their heels, making it super hard to shake them off. While climbing the sketchy mountain paths, Melty almost takes a tumble, which totally gives away their location to the guards hunting them down. Naofumi and the gang take off running, but they end up stuck at a dead end. That's when the other 3 heroes and their knights roll up and trap them. They start yelling at Naofumi, accusing him of holding the princess hostage. Melty steps in and tells the heroes she's totally fine and that Naofumi isn't forcing her to do anything. She explains that she's the one who asked him to take her along and keep her safe. Then she drops the bomb that all this drama is part of some shady plan cooked up by someone dangerous. Hearing this, the heroes chill out for a second and stop acting all aggressive until Sophia shows up and flips the whole situation on its head. Sophia accuses Naofumi of using his shield to brainwash everyone he meets, including her sister. That's all it takes to get the heroes fired up again. Naofumi tries to explain that if his shield could actually do that, they wouldn't even be in this mess, but the heroes aren't having it. They demand he hand over Melty, but she refuses to go, knowing she'll be killed before she even makes it back to the capital. Naofumi then calls out Sophia, saying she's trying to off her own sister so she can snag the crown princess title for herself. Philo turns into her bird form, and the crew tries to make a run for it, but Motoyasu shoots her in the leg, forcing her back into her human form. Turns out, he got some alchemists to whip up something that keeps Philo stuck in her human body. The group gets trapped, and Naofumi has no choice but to bust out the rage shield since things have escalated into an all-out brawl. Naofumi and his team manage to work together and break free from their attackers. He uses his shield to blow up the road, splitting it in half. Naofumi is confident Ren will figure out the shady stuff going on, so he tosses the rosary they found on the night over to him and walks off. Once they're safe, Naofumi smashes the magic bracelet on Philo's ankle so she can transform freely again. Right then, one of those masked people shows up. Melty tells everyone to chill out because this person is part of the Shadows, a spy squad that works directly for the queen. From the way she talks, Naofumi realizes she's the same lady who passed him in the palace and warned him to stay sharp. She tells Naofumi the queen wants to see him and needs to talk about all the chaos happening in the kingdom. The queen's in a spot on the opposite side of Siltvelt. Suddenly, they notice a fire blazing in the distance, and standing right in the middle of it is Sophia. The crew figures out that Sophia is probably trying to smoke them out, which is why she set the forest on fire. They get out of there before the fire spreads too much. The next morning, Naofumi realizes it's going to be tough to make it to Siltvet, so their only option is to do what the shadow agent suggested, meet with the queen. Soon, they end up in a place where demi-humans are basically treated like slaves. They're worked to the bone and treated like garbage. Melty mentions she knows someone in the area. Right then, the local lord, Reichnot, shows up. Naofumi gets a weird vibe from him but listens as Reichnot tells them to follow him to his mansion. At Reichnot's place, he explains that the knights told him the group might pass through his region. They also claim the group started the fire to cover their tracks. Naofumi shuts that down, saying it's a lie and that Sophia started the fire to flush them out. Reichnot believes him and doesn't push back. After that, food is brought out for everyone. Philo's ready to dig in, but Naofumi stops her, saying he doesn't trust Reichnot yet. He even suggests the food might be poisoned. To prove it's safe, Reichnot takes a bite himself himself and assures them there's nothing to worry about. Once he eats, Philo and the others dive in and start chowing down like there's no tomorrow. After they finish eating, Reichnot hooks them up with a cozy room to crash in for the night. Now Fumi's not feeling it, though he's too paranoid something might go down while they're asleep. Raphtalia steps up and offers to keep watch so now Fumi can catch some Z's. Meanwhile, Melty and Philo take the chance to snoop around the mansion. On the flip side, the king's freaking out about his daughter. He's not ready to lose her. No way. Sophia keeps trying to calm him down, saying they'll find Melty and everything will be chill. But the king's still pointing fingers at the shield for all the drama. Later that night, now Fumi tells Melty to stop stressing about kingdom stuff for now. He's like, your safety comes first. Once you're good, then you can deal with all the kingdom politics. The next morning, the crew realizes the castle's surrounded by knights. Reichnot gets hauled off because someone snitched that Naofumi and his squad are hiding in the mansion. Problem is, Melty and Philo aren't in the room, and the group's gotta bounce fast before the knights catch them. Turns out, Melty's already got a plan. She went to meet up with this noble dude, Idol, who brought the knights. She tells him Naofumi already dipped and says she needs to talk to her dad. She demands an escort, and the noble's like, sure thing, and agrees. Raphtalia wants to jump in, but Naofumi stops her, saying they can't mess up Melty's plan. Now they just need to find Philo. Naofumi uses his master's command to track her down, and guess what? She's passed out in the attic after playing hide and seek with Melty the night before. When she finds out Melty left with the noble and his knights, she's all fired up to chase after them, but they hold her back. Naofumi tells Philo not to worry, they're gonna go after Melty and save her. He's not about to leave her behind. That night, Naofumi and his crew are already scheming ways to sneak into Idol's mansion. Meanwhile, Idol's grilling Reichnot, trying to figure out where the shield hero is. Reichnot keeps saying he doesn't even know who the shield hero is. Naofumi, Philo, and Raphtalia manage to break into the mansion. They're busy taking down the knights who try to block their way. Idol's about to hurt Melty when Philo and the gang bust into the room. Idol grabs Melty as a hostage, but Naofumi uses his shield's power to knock him down and rescue her. Melty's super relieved to see Naofumi, and even though she's hesitant, she thanks him. Then Idol pulls out a whip, and that triggers Raphtalia, reminding her of how she and other demi-humans were treated horribly by people like him. She steps up to Idol, even as he's hitting her, but she doesn't care. She slices the whip and holds her sword to his throat. She scares the crap out of him and makes him feel a taste of the fear and pain that demi-humans like her have been through. So, turns out Raphtalia is one of the demi-humans that Idol used to treat like his personal property. He abused them and did whatever he wanted. He even killed one of Raphtalia's friends back then. Her name was Rifana. Raphtalia feels like taking him out for what he did. Now Fumi asks if killing him will help her feel better, but she's not sure. She holds back and tells Idol she'll let him live so he can pay for his sins. But then, Idol pulls out a sword and tries to attack her. Raphtalia blocks it and pushes him back. Idol's doing everything he can to get rid of her, but he ends up slipping and falling off the building. He falls all the way down and dies. Now Fumi quickly tells Raphtalia that Idol's death isn't her fault and she shouldn't blame herself. Then Melty uses her magic to heal Reichnot's injuries. Raphtalia tells the group they need to rescue the demi-humans still locked up in the mansion's underground. As they head down, Raphtalia starts remembering how she was captured after her hometown was destroyed. She thought the knights who showed up were there to help, but instead, they shoved everyone into cages and took them away. The deeper they go, the more Raphtalia feels the pain of those memories. Naofumi is shocked to learn she was kept in such a cramped, awful place. Just thinking about it makes him feel sick and angry. He knows Raphtalia must have gone through hell while she was imprisoned. Raphtalia remembers how Rifana got really sick after all the hard labor and torture. Even though Raphtalia was weak herself, she kept taking care of Rifana. Rifana wished she could visit their village one more time. Then one morning, Raphtalia woke up and found out she was being sold to a slave merchant. She was the only one being sold, so she got separated from everyone else. She was completely crushed about leaving her friend behind. Now, in the present, Naofumi and Raphtalia find out there's a survivor in one of the cells. After finding the first survivor, they keep discovering more and more people who made it through. Raphtalia spots someone from her village locked up in one of the cells. It's a girl named Keel, but Keel doesn't even recognize her at first. Raphtalia has to reintroduce herself before Keel remembers. They hug, and Keel starts crying. Raphtalia tells her she's with the shield hero now, and they've come to rescue her. Naofumi steps up and uses his powers to heal Keel's wounds. After that, Keel tells Raphtalia that Rifana is dead. Shocked, Raphtalia rushes to Rifana's cell to see for herself. When she gets there, she drops to her knees. Rifana's gone, and all that's left are her bones. Melty is horrified by everything she's seeing, and can't believe such terrible things are happening in the country. She's heartbroken. Raphtalia tells Naofumi that Rifana always wanted to meet the shield hero. Naofumi suggests they give Rifana and the others a proper farewell so they can rest in peace. Raphtalia starts blaming herself for Rifana's death, but Naofumi tries to comfort her. He tells her she's made him a better person since they met, and that he wouldn't have had anyone to trust if it weren't for her. He says she has a kind heart and always tries to do what's right for others. Now, their job is to protect the rest of her people and make sure no one else suffers like this. Raphtalia has a quick flashback of her and Rifana laughing and joking together, and with that, she's able to say goodbye to her friend. Afterward, they leave the underground cells. When they get outside, they see Idol is still alive. He's praying in front of a monument, holding a rosary from the church. Suddenly, a blue light appears as he finishes his prayer. Reichnott explains that the monument was built by past heroes to seal away a monster. Turns out, Idol just released it. Idol is super confident, thinking no one can stop him now that the monster's on his side. But as soon as the monster shows up, it kills Idol first. The monster lets out a massive roar that shakes everything and everyone around. While the monster's growling at them, there's a girl and a Filolial hanging out in the woods. The Filolial says it's found the right person to be the next queen. They're probably talking about Philo, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Back at the mansion, Naofumi knows the monster's crazy strong, and they don't stand a chance against it. He tells everyone they need to bail and hide, but they're shocked when the monster tracks them down anyway. They hesitate to fight it right there, since there are civilians nearby. Philo, though, charges at the monster without a second thought. Naofumi says they've got to lure the monster away to a safer spot where no one else will get hurt. Naofumi figures out that Philo can be the perfect bait to draw the monster out of town, since the dragon's drawn to the shiny crystal in her belly. Reichnott is told to take Keel and the other kids somewhere safe. Raphtalia doesn't want to leave, but Keel tells her she has to because there are people who need her help. Raphtalia gives Keel the bracelet Naofumi gave her. Philo grabs her crew and gets them out of there, with the monster chasing them right away. They keep running until they're out of the forest, but the monster's still right on their heels. They finally reach an open plain and stop to face it. The monster shows up, and they hit it with some big attacks, but it doesn't even leave a scratch. The monster tosses them around like they're nothing. Philo jumps up and kicks it hard, but it's still standing. Raphtalia tries to slash it with her sword, but it doesn't work either. Naofumi decides to use the rage shield and is about to activate it when a voice tells him to stop. Suddenly, the whole area fills with mist. Melty says it's a high-level magic field. Out of nowhere, a ton of Filolials show up from the woods and surround the monster. Then, this massive Filolial, as big as the dragon, steps out of the pond behind them. Melty says she's the Filolial queen. The queen tells everyone to back off while she handles the monster. She gives the dragon a chance to hand over the fragment it's got and surrender, but the dragon's like, nah, and charges at her. The queen doesn't even break a sweat, she just kicks the dragon back like it's nothing. The dragon tries to roast her with fire, but she blocks it like a pro. Then, out of nowhere, she takes the dragon down with a crazy fast attack no one even saw coming. After she beats the monster, the queen shifts into her human form and introduces herself as Fitoria, queen of all Filolials everywhere. Turns out, she's been alive for centuries. Philo starts wondering if she'll ever grow as big as Fitoria. Fitoria then asks everyone to introduce themselves. Fitoria hooks them up with a carriage to get them out of there. She's got some questions for Naofumi. Before they leave, Naofumi grabs some materials from the dragon to upgrade his shield. Fitoria warns him not to mess with it because she senses some bad vibes coming off it. She says cursed materials are tough to handle, but Naofumi's like, I got this. Fitoria decides to have her people bring the dragon's body along too. They all hop in the carriage and head out. Using some portal magic, Fitoria gets them to their destination in no time. They step out and see these ancient ruins. Fitoria explains that the ruins are what's left of a civilization the original heroes once protected. Now, it's a Filolial sanctuary, and technically, humans aren't supposed to be there. The ruins are so old, they were around even before Fitoria was born. She tells the group to chill and grab some food. Naofumi ends up cooking for everyone, including all the Filolials hanging around. Later that night, Fitoria shows up to talk to Naofumi. They walk and chat as they go. Naofumi asks why Philo is growing differently from the others, and Fitoria explains it's because she's being raised by a hero. She also says she came to help because she heard a new queen candidate had been found. Fitoria wants to know how the dragon seal got broken. Then she mentions that the waves aren't just hitting Melromark, they're happening in other countries too. The heroes are supposed to be split up across different countries. Fitoria shares that she was raised by a hero herself and has been protecting the world ever since. But even with all her power, she still needs the heroes to step up and work together to save the world. She's frustrated that they're fighting instead of teaming up. Meanwhile, Ren and Itsuki sneak into the hidden part of the Three Heroes Church to see if they're really hiding something, just like Naofumi said. They find an archive and start digging through it. Sophia is lurking nearby, watching everything go down. Back at the ancient ruins, Fitoria tells Naofumi that if the four heroes can't stop fighting and work together, she'll have no choice but to kill them all. The next morning, Fitoria grabs Melty and says she won't let her go until Naofumi makes up with the other heroes. Naofumi stands his ground, saying he's not ready to patch things up with them. Fitoria drops a bombshell, saying she could just kill all four of them and call in a new group of heroes if they can't work together. Even with that threat hanging over him, Naofumi refuses to budge. He says he has nothing to say to the other heroes and wants nothing to do with them. He tries to fire up his rage shield, but Fitoria shuts it down with her powers. She sees how stubborn he is and throws him a deal. She says she'll think about her options if Naofumi and his team can prove they can handle the waves on their own. She suggests a one-on-one fight between her and Philo. If Philo wins, she'll let Melty go and hold off on killing the heroes for now. Naofumi doesn't want Philo to fight Fitoria, but Philo insists she's up for it if it'll help solve their current mess. They agree to fight in human form. Fitoria sets up a magic magic barrier to create a fighting arena. The battle kicks off, and Fitoria easily dodges everything Philo throws at her. Philo tries her best, but she can't get close to Fitoria. Every spell and attack she uses gets shut down like it's nothing. While they're fighting, Naofumi tries to save Melty, but Fitoria smacks him into a wall like it's no big deal. Fitoria turns back to Philo and tells her she's too weak. She says Philo's team needs her right now, but she's not strong enough to help them. Philo doesn't back down and keeps fighting, determined to make Naofumi proud. Naofumi tells her to stay calm because he knows she's got this. Hearing that, Philo manages to pull off a powerful spell and charges straight at Fitoria. Fitoria throws up a barrier to block the attack. Philo keeps going at Fitoria, even with the shield in the way. Philo gives it everything she's got and manages to bust through Fitoria's defenses. She's totally wiped out from using so much energy and collapses on the ground, but she's still not ready to give up. Fitoria walks up to her and says she's won the fight. Philo's crew rushes over and hugs her. Then Fitoria spills the beans it was all a test. If Philo had failed, she would have been killed, and now Fumi would have been toast too. Fitoria pulls out a crown and names Philo as her successor, saying she's next in line. She puts the crown on Philo's head, and all the Philolial birds cheer together. Naofumi notices that Philo's status has shot way up. Fitoria then tells Naofumi she's got something for him too. She puts a piece of herself into his shield, unlocking a bunch of new features he couldn't use before. After that, she tells Naofumi they need to have a private chat. To make up for using Melty as a hostage, Fitoria asks her what she wants. Melty says she wants a ride on Fitoria's back, and Fitoria agrees. Melty has a blast during the ride. Later that night, they throw a big party to celebrate the new queen's appointment. When everyone's asleep, Fitoria and Naofumi sit down to talk. She asks him if he ever tried to clear his name after what happened, but he says no. He didn't bother explaining things to the other heroes either. He figured no one would buy his story, so he didn't even bother trying. He admits he messed up there. Fitoria tells him it's time to squash the beef with the other heroes. Once they're out of the ruins, she'll drop Naofumi near one of the heroes, so they can hash things out. She's not looking to get involved in their drama again. She also spills that if one of the heroes dies, they'll have to summon new ones. All the heroes need to stick together to take on the waves. She adds that someday, they'll have to choose between saving the world or saving the people in it. If they save the world, they'll succeed, but if they choose the people, it's gonna be a tougher road. Past heroes always picked saving the world, but they hoped the next generation would choose to save the people. Hearing this, Naofumi decides he's gotta level up and rely on the rage shield more. Fitoria casts a spell on his chest armor to tone down the curse effects from the shield. She warns him to chill with how much he uses it. Naofumi starts to see that Fitoria's way kinder than she lets on. Tears fill her eyes, and she rests her head on his lap. Fitoria doesn't remember the hero who raised her because Philolials have short memories, but she still recalls the gentle pats on her head. At the end of the episode, Ren and Itsuki are following a lead into a sketchy cave. Out of nowhere, a huge, blinding blast comes down and hits their spot. The next morning, Fitoria zaps them over to a spot where she can sense one of the heroes hanging out. She also hooks them up with a fresh new wagon. Everyone's feeling emotional as they say their goodbyes. Philo's pumped about pulling the new wagon and even starts humming as she goes. Pretty soon, they roll up to a checkpoint and start arguing about whether they should take a detour. Now Fumi figures either Itsuki or Ren might be there, so he suggests they try talking to one of them to get through. If that doesn't work, they'll just bust their way past. As they get closer to the checkpoint, a lookout spots them and sounds the alarm. When they arrive, they see Motoyasu waiting there with a bunch of guards. Motoyasu's already stressed because he thinks Naofumi is the worst of the three heroes to deal with. Naofumi tells him he's not there to fight, just to talk and pass through. But Motoyasu gets all fired up and asks if that's really all Naofumi has to say. He attacks, but Naofumi blocks it. Naofumi's caught off guard, wondering why Motoyasu would come at him for no reason. Motoyasu says he's probably been summoned to this world just to stop Naofumi, and calls him a devil that needs to be taken out. He starts throwing all kinds of magical attacks, but Naofumi manages to block every single one. Motoyasu gets even angrier because Naofumi just won't go down. Naofumi finally asks why Motoyasu is so mad at him, and why he's always ready to throw hands every time they meet. Motoyasu tells Naofumi to think about it and figure it out. Then he drops a bombshell. Ren and Itsuki are dead, and he claims Naofumi is the one who did it. Naofumi's completely shocked and just stands there with his mouth hanging open, trying to process that Ren and Itsuki are gone. Naofumi tells Motoyasu that he didn't kill the two guys because he had no reason to. He asks if Motoyasu has seen their bodies, but he says no. Just as Naofumi is about to keep convincing Motoyasu, Sophia shows up and says they got info from a reliable source at the church. Sophia warns Motoyasu to watch out for Naofumi's brainwashing skills. Naofumi can't believe Motoyasu still thinks he has those skills. Then, Sophia creates a lightning cage around them so they can fight without interruptions. Naofumi tells Motoyasu to chill and check what Sophia is saying before he does something stupid. But Motoyasu isn't ready to listen. It turns into a full-on battle between Naofumi's crew and Motoyasu's crew. They start throwing magic spells at each other. As the fight goes on, Naofumi and his team manage to pull off a combo move. Motoyasu is shocked that Naofumi and his crew can beat them even without leveling up. Naofumi tells Motoyasu that he and his team have been training hard to pick pick up skills that will help them in fights. Motoyasu isn't ready to admit defeat. He insists he needs to get revenge for Itsuki and Ren. Just then, they realize all the soldiers are gone, and they're the only ones left. Philo knocks Motoyasu and his crew to the ground to bring them closer. She then tells Naofumi to create a protective barrier. Naofumi makes a shield prison, but Philo says it's not enough. He adds more layers of shield protection. Suddenly, a powerful projectile appears in the sky and crashes down where they are. The shield protection shatters, but Naofumi manages to block all the damage with his shield. The area around the group gets scorched, but they're totally safe. The place is filled with magma, and while the team is still trying to figure out what's going on, the Pope shows up above them. The Pope is shocked that they're still alive after taking a direct hit from the multicaster ritual magic judgment weapon. He says he wants to purify Naofumi for his sins, which means he needs to kill him. Sophia gets mad and calls out the Pope for almost taking out the spear hero and the next queen. The Pope mocks her, saying it'll be reported that the shield hero killed them. He then mentions that plans are in place for someone else to take over the government. He accuses the heroes of hurting the nation and reveals that he was also the one who killed Itsuki and Ren. Motoyasu is stunned when he hears this. To finish off the group, the Pope pulls out a sword that Melty recognizes. Her reaction shows she knows just how powerful that sword is. The Pope points the sword at the group and unleashes a huge blast, but Naofumi manages to block it. He can feel the sword's massive power. The Pope tells them that was just a trial shot. He powers up the sword to show its real strength. Suddenly, the sword turns into a spear, shocking everyone, but Melty is already aware of it. She explains that the sword is a direct copy of the hero's weapons and can change into any of the 4 legendary weapons, holding incredible power. Motoyasu questions why they needed to summon heroes when they have something that strong. Melty adds that the weapon uses a ton of mana. The Pope says the mana they'll need will come from the hundreds of followers behind him, calling it a battle between the devil and the divine. Motoyasu gets mad, realizing they've been playing him from the start. He fires a blast from his spear, but a barrier around the Pope blocks it. Melty warns them they can't touch the Pope unless they break through that force field. Motoyasu tells Naofumi it's time to team up and cut off the mana supply. He tries a bunch of combos to attack the Pope, but the barrier is unbreakable. Some followers run out of mana and collapse. After many failed attempts, the Pope strikes back. Naofumi knows they can't compete with the weapon's power, especially since the Pope has nearly unlimited mana. Just as the Pope is about to attack, a surprise combo hits and pushes him back. They turn to see that Ren and Itsuki just showed up. They're shocked to see the duo alive and well. The Pope tells his assistant to have their magicians set up a barrier. Ren spills the beans that the Pope actually tried to off them. They survived, thanks to the Shadow Squad. Ren and Itsuki figured out that everything about Naofumi was a total lie, and that he got framed. Ren goes after the Pope, attacking him hard. The barrier protects the Pope, but he still feels the hit. Ren and Itsuki let him know that the Queen's forces are on their way. They urge the Pope to give up before she arrives. The followers start to get anxious when they hear this, but the Pope manages to calm them down again. The heroes realize the followers and the Pope aren't ready to back down. They need to team up and teach them a lesson. But Naofumi decides to lay into the 3 of them for how poorly they've acted over the last couple of weeks. He says none of this would have happened if Motoyasu had thought for himself instead of just listening to Sophia all the time. He also calls out Ren and Itsuki for treating everything like a game. The trio starts bickering, trying to blame each other for what went down. With the way they're bickering, the Pope is just laughing. He can't believe the heroes are nothing but a joke. He's happy he can easily take them out if he wants to. He says the heroes really need to be dealt with. He's seen and dealt with enough already. According to him, the heroes don't deserve to live. Then he tells the group that while they were fighting, the believers managed to gather enough mana. They've got enough power to charge up a weapon and take out the heroes. The Pope fires a blast from this legendary weapon at the heroes, but Naofumi blocks it. He remembers how Fitoria begged him to sort things out. He tells the other heroes they're trash, just like the Pope who's trying to kill them, but he's willing to team up with them until they take down the Pope and make it out alive. He insists he hasn't forgiven them, but he's not about to break the promise he made to Fitoria. With that, the heroes and their crew agree to work together. Just then, the Pope activates a wall around them that looks like the roof of a church. He calls it his cathedral and tells the heroes they've reached their final destination. The Queen is gearing up for battle. She's put on her armor and is ready to roll. She orders her troops to move out to take down the sneaky Pope and his followers. She hopes the shield hero can hold on until she arrives. Meanwhile, the Pope and the heroes are clashing. The heroes hit the Pope with a spell, but he keeps bouncing them back. While the Pope fights, his believers use their mana to heal him from any injuries. This lets him stand strong against the heroes. He gets healed right away and takes any damage without a problem. Naofumi is riding on Philo's back, carrying Motoyasu with him. He tells Motoyasu to attack when they get close to the Pope. The plan goes off without a hitch, and Motoyasu unleashes a curse attack at the Pope, but the Pope easily brushes it off. He says curses don't mean anything in the cathedral because the ground is a holy place, blessed by the Supreme Being. Then, he tells the bishop to keep the believers alert. The bishop responds that most of the believers are out of mana and might be in danger if they keep going. The Pope doesn't care and tells the bishop to keep pushing the believers. The believers keep straining themselves to give more mana. The heroes are shocked to see the believers still going strong despite the terrible things the Pope just said. They realize the Pope is gathering mana for a big attack and they need to do something about it. They ask Naofumi if he can help with his shield. He's been able to fight them even though he's not fully developed. Naofumi thinks about using the shield, but he feels a sharp pain in his body. He remembers what Fitoria told him about the Rage Shield curse. Right now, he has no choice because it's the only way they can face the Pope. He tells Philo and Raftalia that he'll do his best to keep his sanity. He activates the Rage Shield, and the dragon's hatred starts to take over him. Naofumi tries to fight it, but eventually, he falls for the dragon's words and lets the rage consume him. He gives in, and his whole body and soul are taken over by the rage inside him. Everyone watching realizes he's crossed over to the dark side. He's about to start wrecking everything when he hears Philo, Melty, and Raftalia's voices in his head. He focuses on their voices and manages to regain control. He snaps back to reality and sees the trio holding on to him. They're already feeling the effects of the curse. Naofumi then turns to the other three heroes and humbly asks for their help. The Pope attacks them, but Naofumi protects them. The group then goes all out against the Pope. Naofumi is shouting orders to everyone. Even Moriyasu can't believe he's taking orders from Naofumi. They manage to push the Pope back and break through all his defenses. They charge at him, but they're shocked when the Pope suddenly gains a new surge of power. The Pope starts hitting them with advanced skills from his legendary weapon. He creates some kind of noise barrier around the group to mess with their hearing. They soon realize that what the Pope made is just an illusion. The Pope is about to finish them off when the Queen shows up and casts a spell that traps the Pope in an ice wall. She tells Naofumi to take him out. Naofumi activates a spell that pierces his own body, spraying red liquid everywhere. The Pope is thrilled that Naofumi has hurt himself. Just then, a red creature pops up from under the Pope and devours him. The cathedral and the legendary weapon get destroyed along with the Pope. Once the dust settles, they find Naofumi unresponsive, lying in a pool of his own blood. The girls start to panic, but the Queen reassures them that she won't let the shield hero die. She approaches Naofumi and introduces herself. 3 days later, Naofumi wakes up in a clinic all bandaged up. The three girls are there with him. They tell him that the Queen did everything she could to make sure he survived. The power Naofumi activated affects both the target and himself, but the Queen made sure he didn't die. Even with her quick recovery help, it'll take him about a month to heal completely. Soon after, the Queen comes to visit Naofumi and introduces herself again. Her name is Morelia. Naofumi wonders why the shield hero has been treated so badly since he got to this world, and the Queen promises to explain everything. She reveals that she was away at a meeting when the nation called for the 4 heroes. They had agreed that each of the 4 nations would summon 1 hero, but the king and princess went behind her back and summoned all 4. This made the other nations mad, and Morelia has been trying to fix things ever since. The lord she left in charge died during the first wave, which let Altcray and Sophia do whatever they wanted. Then she explains why the shield hero has been hated from the start. Altcray already had a grudge against the shield for a specific reason. He hated the last shield hero and passed that hate on to Naofumi. Things would have been different if Naofumi had been summoned to another nation. For example, in Siltvelt, they actually worship the shield hero. The Queen promises Naofumi that he won't be stopped if he wants to go to Siltvelt. She even vows to clear his name and put an end to the humiliation he's been facing. Plus, she's going to reward him with a huge prize, 500 gold pieces. Naofumi tells the Queen he's not planning to stick around in the country. He knows they're counting on him to keep them safe, but he promises to show up when the waves hit. The Queen then asks him to come to the royal castle the next day. She wants to clear his name in front of everyone. A notice has already gone out asking people to gather at the castle. The Queen bows and pleads with Naofumi to attend the gathering the next day. He's taken aback to see her bowing to him. That night, Naofumi has a nightmare where he sees the king and the princess getting executed. The next morning, Naofumi and his team arrive at the royal castle, where the other 3 heroes are also waiting. Soon, a messenger tells them to head into the throne room. When they enter, Moriyasu notices that the king and the first princess aren't in their seats. The Queen orders the guards to bring in the king and Sophia. They're brought in wearing chains, shocking Moriyasu and the other heroes. The Queen reveals they're being treated as criminals and their trial is about to start, which will be shown to the whole nation. Before the trial kicks off, the Queen makes sure they get a slave crest to make things more balanced. Moriyasu can't believe it. He tries to remind her that Sophia is her daughter, but she brushes it off, saying Sophia is a pathological liar who needs to be dealt with. The Queen starts questioning her about everything that's happened. Anytime Sophia lies, she feels pain from the slave crest. This leads everyone to find out that she tried to kill her sister. They also discover that Malty, who's also known as Sophia, framed the shield hero by claiming Naofumi forced himself on her. After everyone has confessed and seen the truth, the Queen drops a bombshell. She takes away the duo's titles and sentences them to death. She says their actions hurt the people, so there's no forgiveness for them. To show she's serious, she orders the execution to happen right away, and it's going to be in front of everyone. Naofumi realizes this is just like what he dreamed. The duo is taken to the guillotine, and the crowd is celebrating. Just as the execution is about to happen, Naofumi steps in and says their punishment is too easy. He proposes a new deal. The king will be called Trash, and the princess will be called the B-word. He tells them they can either accept this or go to the guillotine instead. He also says Sophia's adventurer name will be the S-word. The Queen agrees to the proposal and announces that the 3 heroes are no more. Instead, they'll create the 4 Heroes Church. The citizens are all on board with this change. After that, Naofumi gets ready to leave. He tells the Queen he'll start working with other nations now. The Queen promises to help him with whatever he needs on his journey. She tells Melty Melty that she would have given her life for the king and Sophia if Naofumi hadn't stopped the execution. Just as Naofumi is about to leave the city, the people gather to show their respect for him. The military even gives him an honor guard. Naofumi realizes he's regained the honor, respect, and status he lost. He walks out of the city smiling, ready to go wherever the waves take him with his party. Next up, Naofumi and his crew hit up the Four Heroes Church to level up their classes. They can finally stroll into the church whenever they want. After their upgrades, they head over to the royal castle because the queen wants to see them. While they're chatting, the queen gets all hyped about the group meeting Fitoria. She wishes she could have that chance too. Then, she spills the real reason she called them to the castle. She's throwing a party for the four heroes that night. Plus, she's got something super important to share with them. Later that night, everyone gathers in the main hall for the feast, while the heroes are in a private room with the queen. A little while later, one of the knights bugs Raphtalia, which annoys her. Things start to get chaotic in the reception hall. Melty catches her sister pouring some weird liquid into one of the pies. During the meeting with the queen, Naofumi remembers Fitoria saying he should sort things out with the other heroes. He tells them they should have a heart-to-heart since they're all here anyway. The queen then drops some big news. There's a once-in-a-decade event coming up that will boost their XP. It seems Naofumi is the only one who doesn't know about it because he looks totally lost when the queen mentions it. Just then, Melty comes in to tell her mom that Sophia tried to poison the food for the party. She confessed because of her slave pact. Motoyasu isn't buying it, and the queen tells him to check it out himself after the meeting. The queen then urges the heroes to speak their minds to get ready for the event. This will help them team up better and score more during the event. Motoyasu and the other two heroes say there's no need for that. The queen decides it's time to be real with them. She spills the tea that when the next wave hits and the heroes still haven't sorted out their issues, everyone thinks the shield hero is going to get executed. She goes on to explain that the other three heroes got defeated in the last waves, so they need to team up with the shield hero. It looks like they're not as strong as him right now. The other heroes then ask Naofumi where he got his cheat shield. He tells them it's not a cheat, it's just the result of his hard work. Naofumi offers to share what he knows if they talk first. The three heroes start telling him about the perks of their legendary weapons. Naofumi is shocked because he's been stressing to get things right that he could have easily done with his legendary weapon, like teleportation. Meanwhile, the chaos in the reception hall keeps going on. Back in the private room, the heroes leave on a bad note after arguing with each other. Basically, the night turns out to be a bust. Later, Raphtalia and Naofumi sit down to chat about how the night went. Raphtalia apologizes for the chaos, but Naofumi tells her not to worry since things were rough for him too. Naofumi manages to unlock one of the weapon options the other heroes mentioned, and he plans to tell them about it the next day. The next morning, the queen tells Naofumi that the heroes took off super early. He decides he'll fill them in on what he found later. Then the queen mentions that the ship for his ride is all set to go at the dock. So, the shield hero says goodbye to Melty and the queen. Before he heads out, Naofumi stops by the weapon shop to check out the new copy option he discovered. He uses it to copy some shields from the shop. After that, Raphtalia asks Naofumi if they can take a little detour. They swing by her village where she buried Rifana's bones. The village is a total wreck, but Keel is determined to rebuild everything. Naofumi also wants to help anyone who needs it. Before leaving the village, Raphtalia and Philo plead with Naofumi not to ever leave them. He agrees because he's not ready to leave everything to the three main heroes. Naofumi knows he can't bounce until Raphtalia and Philo find their happiness. Soon after, the trio arrives at the dock where their ship is waiting. It turns out the other three heroes are also waiting to board the same ship. Naofumi and his crew hop on the ship and set sail to Kalmyra for the level up event. On board, they run into two adventurers, a guy named Berg and a girl named Therese. Naofumi introduces himself, but Berg doesn't buy the doubts Naofumi is the real shield hero and even talks smack about him right to his face, calling the shield hero a scumbag but saying Naofumi seems different. Berg suggests teaming up with Naofumi's crew. After that, Naofumi heads to the front of the ship where the other three heroes are. They're all feeling seasick and super nauseous. Naofumi tries to share his latest discovery, but they're not having it right now. Meanwhile, Philo is having a blast. She jumps into the ocean and starts fishing for their dinner. Just then, Therese and Berg come over to the front. Therese hears that Naofumi is a skilled jeweler and wants him to make her an accessory, ready to pay for it. She hands over the materials for the accessory, and Naofumi promises to whip it up while he's leveling up. Before long, the ship pulls into Kalmyra. Naofumi wonders why Raphtalia isn't seasick when she usually gets motion sickness. The other heroes had a rough time and had to be carried off the ship. Moments later, the governor of Kalmyra, Habenberg, shows up to greet Naofumi and his crew. Kalmyra is a cluster of islands close together, and it's a popular spot for tourists and adventurers. While exploring the island, they bump into Berg and Therese again. Berg gives Naofumi a hard time for ditching the ship without saying goodbye. Naofumi checks them out and sees their levels and stats. He starts thinking about teaming up with them since they've been through some battles. After Berg and Therese leave, Naofumi tells his crew to follow him. They plan to level up before the day ends. They find a spot where they fight slimes. Even the weakest slimes give them a ton of XP while they're on the island. Suddenly, they stop getting XP. Itsuki and the other heroes show up right then. They start bickering about who gets to farm XP in that spot. Naofumi isn't in the mood to argue and tells his team it's time to bounce. The trio makes it to another spot. They take down a monster and rack up a huge amount of XP in just one fight. Raphtalia and Philo realize their skills have outgrown their weapons. If they don't do something soon, their weapons are gonna fall apart. Naofumi suggests they hit up a weapon shop to grab new gear before facing the boss. In the meantime, they make do with some weapons they snagged from the monsters they've defeated. That night, Naofumi tells the girls he's worried about the rage shield and curse spell he used last time. Just then, Berg and Therese pop out from the bushes. Berg mentions he was worried when Naofumi's fairy guy said he hadn't come back yet. There have been reports of adventurers dying on quests, and he already sees Naofumi as a friend, so he doesn't want anything bad to happen to him. He suggests Naofumi call it a day, saying they can hunt monsters when the sun comes up. Raphtalia agrees with Berg, and Naofumi goes along with it. Berg gives Naofumi a hug as they leave the forest. That night, when they get back to town, Naofumi, the other heroes, and their crew have a blast together. The next morning, Naofumi gives Therese the accessory she asked him to make. She loves how beautiful it is and pays him way more than he expected. She even wants to pay him more, but Naofumi suggests they level up together as payment. They head to the island and start fighting monsters. Naofumi notices that Berg and Therese are pretty high-level adventurers. Therese casts a spell on the new accessory Naofumi made for her and uses it as a weapon. Naofumi and his friends are shocked by the chant Therese uses to activate the spell. They've never heard anything like it before, and it seems super powerful. The flames surround Naofumi, but don't hurt him at all. In fact, they lift the curse off his body. After grinding all day, both parties say their goodbyes and head off. Naofumi is already planning to ask Therese and Berg to join his party once they finish leveling up. Later, Philo tells Naofumi she found a structure underwater. They dive in and enter the structure, which has breathable air inside. It's dark everywhere, but they get a surprise when Raphtalia lights the way. They discover there's an hourglass inside the structure too, which means the island could be attacked in the next wave. That next wave is coming in 2 days. After they figured this out, they jumped right into getting ready for the next wave. Naofumi teleports back to the capital to fill the queen in on what he discovered. The queen quickly takes action and gathers a big army to prepare for the wave. There's a good chance the battle will happen at sea. The soldiers and adventurers are on ships, ready for the waves. The people of Kalmyra have also been evacuated to keep distractions to a minimum during the fight. The queen and Melty are also gearing up to join the battle. Naofumi is still worried that the heroes might not work well together, but he feels better when he learns that Berg and Therese will be in the fight. He thinks they're more dependable than Motoyasu and the other two. Not long after, the countdown ends and the waves show up. Monsters start pouring in from the portals. The soldiers don't waste any time and jump right into battling the monsters. They toss barrels of strong wine into the sea to use as explosives. Soon, a giant sea monster appears and becomes a real hassle. Itsuki can't hit it unless they can pull it out of the water. The queen then tells Naofumi to take charge of the sea monster. It's up to him to take it down. Naofumi hops on Philo's back and heads into the water to face the scary monster. Naofumi manages to lure the monster out of the water so Itsuki and the other heroes can land some solid hits on it. Even with all the firepower aimed at it, the monster doesn't seem to take any damage. It even takes out one of the ships in the process. Raphtalia shoots a powerful harpoon that actually hurts the monster. Naofumi realizes that Raphtalia has leveled up and is now dealing more damage. The soldiers keep their attention on the smaller monsters while the heroes tackle the big, terrifying one. During the battle, Melty almost gets overwhelmed by the monsters, but Berg shows up just in time to save her and take out the monsters swarming her ship. Berg tells Naofumi to pull the monster out of the water again so he can attack it. They need to deal with the monster first. Naofumi gets the monster out, and Berg jumps on it, delivering a killer blow. Philo and Therese jump in to help, and together they manage to take down the monster. The queen is shocked by their strength. After the monster is defeated, the heroes are about to start picking up the loot left behind, even though they didn't actually defeat the beast. Suddenly, Berg turns on Naofumi and the other three heroes. Naofumi is taken aback by Berg's sudden shift in attitude. Berg says it hurts him that it's come to this. He had no idea Naofumi was being honest when he claimed to be the shield hero. Berg then declares that the heroes need to be taken out for the world's sake. He makes it clear that this isn't personal. They're heroes from another world too, and their own world is on the verge of destruction. They need something to fight for, which is why they've come to this world. Berg and Therese say they're ready to face the heroes fairly. The queen realizes that Berg and Therese are the enemies, and quickly tells her soldiers to back up the heroes. With just one spell, Therese can freeze the other ships so they can't mess with the fight. Therese and Berg say their main target is Naofumi, the shield hero. Naofumi's crew refuses to just sit back while those two try to attack their boss. A brawl kicks off between the two groups. Berg seems way stronger as he dances around them. Meanwhile, Melty is getting ready to back up Naofumi. Berg tells Naofumi that the more defense he gets, the stronger he becomes. This is gonna make it tough for Naofumi to take him down. Just then, Melty shows up. She urges Naofumi to take out Berg and Therese fast because the wave isn't over yet. The fight starts up again, and this time, Naofumi and his crew gain the upper hand. They land a few hits on Berg, but it's still not enough to take him down. Naofumi knows this battle is serious. It's kill or be killed. Suddenly, Glass bursts onto the scene. Turns out, she's on their side. She throws different spells at Naofumi, but he blocks them all with his shield. Glass says she's impressed with how much Naofumi has leveled up. He managed to block her attacks without even using the rage shield. The fight is still on between the two groups. Naofumi notices that Glass is cautious about the Soul Eater shield he turned his shield into during the battle. Naofumi and his crew get hit with a bunch of combos, but he manages to protect them with the shield prison. He tells his teammates to leave Glass to him and asks Melty, Philo, and Raftalia to take care of Berg and Therese while he faces off against Glass. They move their fight to another ship. Glass is surprised that Naofumi trusts his team enough to let them handle Berg and Therese. She then reveals she's also a hero from the same world as Berg and Therese. As the fight goes on, Naofumi uses the Soul Eater shield and figures out that it doesn't drain Glass's SP, but her life force instead. He tells her to give up because she's already lost. Glass isn't ready to back down until one of them is dead. Naofumi doesn't want to kill her, but she warns him that the world they're in will end if he doesn't. He has to take her out to protect the world, just like he's always wanted. Naofumi gets a glimpse of the war going on in Glass's world. She has to beat him if her world is going to survive. He starts to wonder if he should save a world that's been so cruel to him. Glass chugs a potion that pumps her up and knocks Naofumi to the ground with a fierce hit. Raftalia leaves her own fight to back up Naofumi, ready to do anything to save her master. Naofumi unleashes his shield power, creating a massive explosion that overshadows Glass. When the smoke clears, he's shocked to see she can take it. Frustrated, he's about to use the curse shield when he realizes the queen and her troops are now helping out. They toss barrels of wine at Glass and urge Naofumi to use it against her. He blows up the barrels on Glass, which weakens her a lot. She finally admits defeat when she sees there's nothing left she can do. Berg and Therese carry Glass away through the portals. As soon as they leave, the waves disappear too. With that, they've successfully won the battle. After the battle, Naofumi and his crew decide to chill on the island before heading back to Melromark. Naofumi starts stressing about whether he can take down Berg and the other heroes from the other world if they end up facing off in the next wave. He wonders if this is what Fitoria meant when she talked about sacrificing another world. Later, they bump into Lucia, a member of Itsuki's party. She got accused of messing up one of Itsuki's accessories. She really stood out in the last battle, and maybe the heroes didn't like her stealing their thunder. Naofumi then offers her a spot in his party until she clears her name. Lucia happily accepts. Soon after, the storm calms down, and it's time to head back to Melromark. Naofumi sails with the queen, who asks him what reward he wants. He has something in mind. Once they get to Melromark, Naofumi takes Lesia to a weapon shop to hook her up with some new gear. After that, he tells his party they're going somewhere but keeps it a secret, just saying they're going to claim the queen's reward. They soon arrive at Raftalia's village, and she's surprised to see them and meet Melty. Melty has a decree from the queen. The queen has made Naofumi the governor of Seyade's demi-human region. That's his reward. He's now the lord of the area and will be sticking around. They're going to set up a base for themselves, and the old granny will stay too. She's offered to train the new recruits. Raftalia realizes that rebuilding will be way faster and easier with all of Naofumi's plans. Raftalia breaks down in tears and begs Naofumi not to leave. She can't handle the thought of losing him and wants him to stay even after the waves are defeated. Naofumi reassures her that he's not going anywhere. He's decided to stay in this world and make it his home. He sees this world and his party as a fresh start. After taking down what seemed like the toughest wave yet, things are looking up for Naofumi and his crew. Let's not forget, he's now the boss of Luralona Village, which is Raftalia's hometown. The village is bouncing back nicely, and Elrasla Grillero, the village granny, has decided to make it her home too. She's even signed up to train the new recruits. Rishia, a former member of Itsuki's party, is also in the village, working hard to impress him. She's determined to get stronger because Itsuki thinks she's weak and not cut out for his team. To boost her stats, she's rocking a special costume. Then there's Keel, who's training under the granny. While Naofumi chats with the granny and the trainees, a swarm of monster bats suddenly swoops in on the village. Philo and Raftalia jump in to help Naofumi take down the bats. After the battle, Naofumi picks up a fragment left by the bats and merges it with his shield. He realizes the bats are familiars and wonders if they're from the waves, but he quickly figures out that they can't be linked to the waves since there's still a week until the next one hits. Just then, he notices that the countdown for the wave has stopped. Out of nowhere, a thunderous roar shakes the area, something everyone can hear and feel. After that, Naofumi and his crew decide to head to the capital to fill the queen in on what's happening. The other heroes are there too. The queen tells them that the monster bats are tied to the awakening of a fearsome creature called the Spirit Tortoise. This Spirit Tortoise is known to bring along a bunch of monsters and beasts. Motoyasu and the other two heroes tell the queen they're not ready to fight anything that isn't related to the waves. They were basically brought to this world to tackle the waves, and they're not interested in anything else. The trio bounces from the meeting after making their stance clear. On their way out, Rishia spots Itsuki and asks to rejoin his party, but he turns her down. He hasn't changed his mind about her. He still thinks she'll never be strong enough. Back in the meeting room, Naofumi tells the queen he's in to help with the spirit tortoise issue. The tortoise is still far east, but is heading toward the capital, and Naofumi's territories are in its path. They need to take it out before it reaches them. The queen asks about Melty, and Naofumi reassures her that she's doing fine. She's responsible for keeping an eye on everything happening in Naofumi's territory. Naofumi is relieved that the wave countdown has stopped. It gives him more time to deal with the tortoise. After that, he'll figure out why the countdown stopped in the first place. After the meeting, Naofumi and his crew hit up the weapon shop to snag Rishia a weapon. The shop owner, Elhart, fills Naofumi in on the scoop that other nations are teaming up with Melromark to take on the tortoise. After that, they swing by the slave merchant. Raftalia talks Rishia into getting a slave crest like hers, saying it'll help her grow while serving under Naofumi. Rishia hesitates at first, but eventually agrees and gets the crest. Naofumi notices Rishia is really trying to win over Itsuki. He promises to train her more so she can get what she wants. He tells the team to get their gear ready because they're heading to the Spirit Tortoise Kingdom the next day. On their way to the Tortoise Kingdom, they run into some refugees from there. This helps them realize things are already going downhill. One night, the party discovers that the cow tail on Philo's head is actually a communication device she can use to talk to Fitoria. Fitoria reminds Naofumi of her warning. She hasn't changed her mind about taking out the heroes if they don't work together. Rishia is shocked and immediately worries about Itsuki's safety. During their journey, they overhear a group discussing the tortoise. A hooded guy tells his friends that 3 of the heroes are dead. As soon as Rishia hears this, she jumps out of the carriage and bolts toward the capital. Naofumi manages to stop her, telling her not to freak out over unconfirmed news. He then asks Philo to check with Fitoria about any heroes being dead, and Fitoria says no. Rishia breathes a sigh of relief. Naofumi admits he's not ready to lose any heroes either. Just then, a swarm of monster bats and yetis starts closing in on them. The shield hero and his team jump into action to protect the civilians until they can safely get past the checkpoint. The monsters are overwhelming, and Naofumi has to unleash a powerful dark burning curse to wipe them out. The spell is so intense it leaves a massive crater in the ground. Naofumi is wiped out from using it. Philo, Rishia, and Raftalia rush over to check on him in the crater. They're chatting when a woman in a black robe suddenly appears. The woman asks the shield hero to kill her, and she vanishes right away. Later, generals from various nations gather for a meeting, with the Queen of Melromark and Naofumi also in attendance. They get reports that a giant tortoise has already wrecked one nation's capital and is now in a passive state, which will last for 2 to 3 days. During the meeting, some leaders think they can take on the tortoise without the 4 heroes, but the affected nation warns them they don't stand a chance against it. They all need to unite if they want to have any shot at defeating the beast. While the meeting is happening, Eclair, the daughter of Morelia's trusted noble who died during the first wave, shows up at the camp. Philo and Rishia tell her that Naofumi, Raftalia, and the queen are in a meeting to come up with a plan to beat the tortoise. Back in the meeting room, Naofumi discovers there are other heroes besides the 4 cardinal ones. They're called the 7-star heroes, who were summoned earlier, and some of them are part of the kingdom too. They're pretty weak compared to the 4 cardinal heroes, but the 7 heroes are going to help out as well. Just then, a woman in black walks into the room. The queen seems to recognize her. She's the mistress of the late king of the Spirit Tortoise Kingdom and is currently the nation's regent. She properly introduces herself to Naofumi as Ost Horai. Then she drops a bombshell on everyone by saying she's the familiar of the Spirit Tortoise, similar to yetis and monster bats, but she's taken on a human form. Her goal as a human-type familiar is to get close to the center of power and use trickery to gather souls. She goes on to explain that the Spirit Tortoise's role is to block calamity waves from appearing. The tortoise uses souls as a resource to do this, and the monsters are a way for it to collect souls. However, if that fails, the seal on the tortoise will break, and it will be unleashed, causing destruction to gather enough souls to prevent the waves from showing up. The only twist this time is that the seal on the tortoise didn't just break on its own. Someone broke it, and now that person is controlling the tortoise. The tortoise is causing chaos that could lead to disaster. Once it's done, there might not be anything left. Ost begs Naofumi to take out her creator before things spiral further. She's the only one who knows how to break the seal, so she's shocked that someone else has that info. Ost tells Naofumi she'll help him find the person controlling the tortoise. The tortoise is after souls, so it's likely heading to crowded areas to collect them. She mentions that if they cut off its head, the tortoise should die. Now that they know how to kill it, all they need is a solid plan. The nations start bickering about who's in charge of the operation. Naofumi gets really mad and puts them in their place, declaring he'll take charge, and there's nothing they can do about it. After the meeting, Ost introduces herself to Naofumi's team. Eclair decides she's in for the fight, ready to defend her territory. That night, Raftalia approaches Naofumi, urging him to come up with a plan that the generals can't refuse. A plan so good they'll have no choice but to team up with him. Raftalia knows knows Naofumi is trying to save everyone, and she appreciates that. The next day, Naofumi lays out his plan to the generals. Since the tortoise is targeting populated areas, he wants everyone to move out in force to grab its attention. The nation of Hikazuya will send a Dragon Rider battalion as a decoy. Another nation offers troops to face the dragon, and yet another promises siege weapons. Naofumi plans to take down a fortress and drop it on the tortoise to take it out of commission. Once it's incapacitated, they'll fire the multicaster weapon the Pope used at it. Rishia and Ost are tasked with hitting the library to find a way to defeat the monster while everything else gets ready. Naofumi will figure out how to behead the tortoise. Soon after, preparations kick off. That night, Naofumi and his team gather around a fire to stay warm. While they're chatting, Ost quickly realizes that Rishia is crushing on Itsuki. That's why she's so desperate for his approval. Just then, they hear the roar of the spirit tortoise, signaling that it's active again. The next day, the military gathers and starts moving toward the spirit tortoise. The shadow agent watching over Melty is also there to help in the fight. Eclair is leading the cavalry because she's got the skills for it. As the soldiers head out, Naofumi plants the shield hero's flag on his wagon, which really pumps up the troops. They all cheer when they see the flag. Just having the shield hero riding with them boosts their spirits. Naofumi feels good about motivating the troops, but he's also planning to use the flag as a signal when he's about to summon the multicaster weapon, letting everyone know to clear the area. As they get closer to the tortoise, Naofumi casts the hate reaction spell to attract the bat monsters, clearing a path for the troops. They manage to lure the tortoise where they want it. The tortoise turns out to be a massive beast. Soon, Naofumi and his team run into a swarm of bat monsters. Ost jumps out of the wagon and uses her gravity spell to take them out. It's the first time Naofumi and his crew have seen a spell like that. She explains that only a few monsters can use it. The troops handling the siege weapons start firing at the tortoise. Despite everything they throw at it, the beast keeps coming. The shadow agent updates Naofumi on the mission status, saying the fort preparations are all set. The bomb squad is ready to go. The tortoise takes out all the bomb squad members except for the leader, who manages to activate the bomb, causing the fort to collapse on the tortoise as planned. Sadly, the bomb squad leader loses his life in the process. They make their way to the tortoise's location, but suddenly, Ost feels a sharp pain in her head. She realizes the tortoise can still use its long-range weapons even while down. She figures this out because she's close to it. Naofumi quickly tells the troops to back off. They start to retreat, but some get hit by the tortoise's attack. Eclair then orders her troops to charge straight at the tortoise, knowing it won't hurt itself. It's not attacking nearby. The best spot for them is actually closer to the tortoise. So, alongside the shield hero, Eclair's troops charge toward the tortoise. Naofumi gives the go-ahead to activate the multicaster magic. Rapitalia is taken aback when she hears this. Naofumi explains they have no choice but to use the weapon. It's their only shot against the terrifying beast. If the caster doesn't take it down, at least it should create a weak spot they can exploit. There's also the concern that Ost might vanish the moment they take out the tortoise. But Ost tells Naofumi she doesn't care. She's ready to do whatever it takes to see the tortoise defeated. That's why she came to ask for the shield hero's help in the first place. Just then, a mutated familiar pops up from the ground. Naofumi is still figuring out their next move when the troops show up. They tell Naofumi and his crew not to sweat the familiar and just focus on taking down the tortoise. Ost casts a magical shield for the troops to protect them from the familiar. Naofumi and his team reach the tortoise just as it gets hit by the multicaster, making a hole in its neck. Naofumi slams a powerful shield into the exposed area. Ost uses a spell to make the shield bigger and help it dig into the tortoise's skin better. Philo and Raftalia charge at the tortoise and deliver the final blow, chopping its head clean off. Cheers of victory ring out among the troops as the tortoise falls, but Naofumi and his crew feel a pang of sadness because Ost is gone now that the tortoise has been defeated. Rishia is already in tears since she got close to Ost. Just then, they turn around to see Ost staring at them. She tells them it looks like the spirit tortoise hasn't been defeated yet, which is the only logical reason she's still alive. Next up, Risha shares with the group why she loves Itsuki. She explains that she was born into a poor noble family, but the people in her area were really kind to her and her folks. Everything was going great until one day, when a noble from another town came in, demanding heavy taxes that her parents couldn't pay. This wicked noble decided to take Rishia as payment, locking her up. But then, Itsuki came to her rescue, protected her, and even dealt with the evil noble while helping her parents. Rishia reveals that this is why she wants to repay Itsuki for what he did. She wants to do something that the bow hero will appreciate. After she finishes her story, Naofumi shows up to let everyone know they'll be leaving the next day to head to the back of the tortoise. The next day, the team sets off on their mission. They're headed to where the tortoise is located. It's said that even after its head gets chopped off, it still has the ability to come back to life. That's why they need to find a weak spot on its back and take it out before it revives. Philo mentions that the troops are already saying nice things about Ost, acknowledging her struggles in protecting them. Soon, they arrive at the tortoise's location. They'll need to climb up because it's massive. As they pass some soldiers, the soldiers greet Ost warmly. Ost wonders why they're so nice to her, given that her job is to steal souls. Philo and the other girls explain that they're grateful to her for saving their lives. They understand she's just doing her job, and no one holds that against her. After walking for a while, Naofumi suggests they set up camp for the night. The old lady praises Naofumi for being brave enough to suggest camping on the monster's back. He explains that he doesn't want anyone to get too worn out before reaching their goal. While they're resting, Ost encourages Rishia to do her best while she's with the shield hero, as it indirectly helps the bow hero too. Just then, Ost feels a sharp pain in her head. Naofumi notices that the fog that was everywhere earlier has cleared up. They see a clear path ahead, and the group continues their journey. The next morning, they arrive at a settlement where the tortoise has caused chaos, and there are no survivors. It's a tough moment for the team and the troops who came to check things out. The queen is also there. The Shadow Squad quickly reports back about a temple they found. There are no survivors, but they want the queen to see something. They discover that the shrine was dedicated to the spirit tortoise, but there's no sign that the seal inside was broken. They find a wall with inscriptions about the tortoise, which is seen as the guardian spirit of the world. Naofumi is impressed that Rishia can read the words on the wall. The queen mentions they might have found something she's actually good at. The old lady defends her, saying she has some great skills. She can manipulate ki, but she just needs more practice. They soon spot another writing on the wall. This one's in Japanese, and the locals call it the hero's alphabet because they can't read it. Naofumi checks it out. He says the writing is faded, but he can make out 3 words: seal, seventh, and shatter. Ost says she can read it too, and seems to have figured something out. Just then, the building starts to crumble, and they rush out before getting trapped. Ost tells the team she now has an idea on how to take down the tortoise. They need to go inside its body and destroy the heart. There's a path inside the temple that will lead them to the heart. Once they destroy it, everything will be over. Naofumi then calls out who will follow him from the group. He picks Philo, Raphtalia, Ost, and Rishia to go into the temple while the others handle the troops. As they go deeper into the tortoise's body, they run into some adventurers. The adventurers say the queen sent them to check things out. Naofumi senses something's off. Raphtalia casts a spell to figure out who the adventurers are. They're shocked to find out that the 3 adventurers are none other than Berg, Therese, and Glass. Ost gets hit with a soul vision and starts wondering why she even cares about the soldiers and the folks in the area. She's the tortoise's familiar, and she's supposed to just roll with whatever it wants without feeling bad about it. It's wild to her that she's actually feeling something. When she snaps back to reality, she realizes they just found out about Therese, Berg, and Glass. Naofumi tells Ost and Rishia that this trio are heroes from another world who are hell-bent on taking down the 4 cardinal heroes. Berg throws Naofumi for a loop when he says they're not there to fight. Turns out, they're actually there to take on the tortoise and the person controlling it. So, Berg and the others are on their side this time. It turns out the person who broke the seal is from the same world as Berg and the others. This mysterious person wants to grab the tortoise's power for themselves, just for their own selfish reasons. That's why Berg and his crew decided to jump in. They might have plans to take out the 4 cardinal heroes, but this culprit doesn't care about one world or another. They just want to stir up chaos. Berg suggests they team up to tackle the beast and take down the culprit, but Naofumi shuts that down. He's not ready to team up with people he'll eventually have to kill. He doesn't care what they do as long as they go their own way. Berg and his crew don't push it any further and just leave Naofumi and his party. Back outside, the queen fills the generals in on the shield hero's plan. They need to gear up and stop the tortoise from moving forward while Naofumi and his crew figure out how to destroy its heart and put an end to the beast for good. The tortoise is already regenerating way too fast. As they keep going inside the tortoise, Ost starts remembering a lot and is the one guiding them in the right direction. Naofumi comments on how Glass looks different. He mentions that Glass is wearing a new outfit, which raises some concerns. They soon find a spot and discover a blue hourglass inside. This hourglass is totally different from any regular one. Ost explains that it represents the number of souls the tortoise has collected. Once it's full, the tortoise will create a barrier to protect the world from the waves. Meanwhile, Berg and his crew have reached the heart of the tortoise and are gearing up to destroy it. They want to take out the heart to free the guardian beast from the clutches of the monster tortoise. As they push through the tortoise's body, Ost is still feeling guilty about everything she's had to do. She can't shake off the smiles of the soldiers she's taken down in the past, and it really hurts her. Raphtalia and Rishia try to comfort her, saying she shouldn't stress because she's just doing her job. They soon come to a place that looks like it leads to the beast's mouth. Ost uses her powers to create a new path, telling them it leads to the heart of the tortoise. They arrive at the turtle's heart and encounter the guy controlling the tortoise. He introduces himself as Kyo, the wielder of the book's vassal weapon. Ost attacks, but it doesn't work because they're not facing his real body. He tells Naofumi and the others that he knows Berg and his team are looking for him. He's set up multiple fake hearts around the tortoise's body to distract them and waste their time. Naofumi doesn't waste a second demanding that Kyo give back control of the tortoise and the souls he's taken. Kyo just laughs and isn't interested in complying. Ost warns him that the people of this world won't let him win. Not wanting to argue anymore, Kyo just vanishes. Once he's gone, the heart's self-defense kicks in and attacks Naofumi and his crew, but he uses his shield to protect them. Philo goes for the heart, which affects Ost. She tells them not to worry about her and to keep attacking the heart. Raphtalia joins Philo, and they unleash a flurry of attacks on the heart, slicing it in 2. At that moment, Ost passes out, and Rishia starts crying. Just then, Ost comes back to life. which is a letdown because destroying the heart doesn't even kill the tortoise. However, Ost remembers everything about herself and the spirit tortoise. Ost realizes the spirit tortoise is about to wake up, so she quickly creates a portal for them to escape. Berg and his crew realize too late that the tortoise is reviving. Naofumi and his team reach the deepest part of the tortoise, where they find Kyo again. Kyo tells them they've been going about it all wrong. He reveals that Ost isn't just the tortoise's familiar, she's actually connected to its core. Basically, she is the spirit tortoise itself. They could have ended everything by just killing her, he says. Ost explains that he hasn't been able to take control because the tortoise's head and heart have regenerated. He tells the team they need to take out both at the same time if they want a shot at defeating it. Then Kyo drops a bombshell he's got Itsuki and the other two heroes locked up, using them as a power source for the tortoise. That's why the tortoise is regenerating so quickly. Just as the tortoise revs up to wreak havoc, it starts launching long-range attacks at the troops, but Vittoria shows up just in time to block everything. She goes on the offensive against the tortoise while communicating with Naofumi's crew through Philo. Vittoria says she'll handle the tortoise's head while they focus on the heart, and they need to sync up their timing to take both out at once. Kyo, however, plans to stop them from reaching the heart since there's now a barrier surrounding it. Suddenly, Berg and his team burst in. Kyo laughs at them for finally realizing where the real heart is after wasting so much time. Berg mentions that their vassal weapons are warning them against something gross, but Kyo insists he's not a slave to his vassal weapon and will do whatever he wants. He casts a spell and summons a gigantic fiery bird. They try to attack Kyo, but it turns out there's a barrier protecting him too, powered by the three cardinal heroes. Meanwhile, outside, the queen figures out that Vittoria can't fight at full strength while she's protecting the military. She orders the troops to retreat and let Vittoria do her thing. Vittoria is seriously strong. The tortoise is having a hard time even landing a hit on her. Kyo uses gravity magic to pin the group down, making it impossible for them to move. He then walks over to Naofumi and starts kicking him in the head, knowing they can't do anything about it. This breaks Philo and Raftalia's hearts, but they're stuck. Just then, Rishia finds a new strength and breaks free from the gravity spell. She calls Kyo out for being just like her, a weak person who relies on others' strength. Kyo gets furious and blasts Rishia with several attacks, but she survives them all. He's stunned to see her still standing after everything he threw at her. Rishia charges at Kyo, and that freaks him out. While he's busy battling Rishia, Ost takes the chance to give Naofumi the power of the tortoise, which he can use to break free. He does just that, and Ost opens a portal for Berg and his crew to reach the tortoise's core. Naofumi tells Philo to stick with Berg and his team, since she's the only one who can chat with Vittoria. Kyo wants to tag along, but Rishia stops him, leaving him stuck with Naofumi and his group. Naofumi realizes that Rishia can move because she can manipulate ki. Kyo stands no chance against Rishia as she slices through everything he throws at her. She looks like a whole new person, even smashing the wall that holds the cardinal heroes. Ost then pleads with Naofumi to end her life while there's still time. Back outside, the queen fires up a multicaster weapon to attack the tortoise. Vittoria seizes the moment to take out the head. At the same time, Berg and his team manage to break the barrier around the core. They think they've won until Kyo reveals he has a backup plan. He's now using the power of souls to protect the core. Earlier, Ost had warned Naofumi that Kyo definitely has something up his sleeve and told him to destroy her when they figure it out. Just then, Naofumi tries to activate the rage shield but realizes he has no hatred for Kyo. They think it's all over until Ost activates the power she had put inside the shield before. A bright light bursts from the shield, sending a powerful blast through the core like it's nothing. The light is so bright that everyone in the area can see it. Kyo claims he's already achieved his goal, having stored the stolen souls in a glass vial. He creates a portal and escapes before anyone can grab him. Ost is now lying on the ground, life slipping away. She tells Naofumi not to use the rage shield again. Berg and his crew then jump into the same portal Kyo used to escape. Before they leave, they promise to defeat Kyo and reclaim the stolen souls. Naofumi tries to follow, but finds out he can't. The Cardinal Heroes have no authority to invade another world. Ost then gives Naofumi what he needs to bypass that restriction. He and his friends can now invade another world under certain conditions. Naofumi and his team leap into the portal just before it closes to join Berg and his crew. As they leave, Ost finally passes away, turning into golden dust. The tortoise's body also fades away, and the land transforms into a lush green landscape. In the next scene, Naofumi wakes up in a cell. Rishia and Raphtalia are there with him, but Philo is nowhere to be found. They discover that their levels have reset back to level 1, and Raphtalia looks smaller than before. Naofumi's shield has changed too. They notice the cell door is open and there are no guards around. They make their way to the entrance and step outside, finding themselves on a weird beach. The ocean is in front of them, and a thick forest is behind. Since they can't go into the ocean, they decide to head into the forest instead. As they walk through, they're worried about not finding Philo. Their main goal is to locate her. Suddenly, a monster made of cardboard pops out from the trees and attacks them. Naofumi lets the cardboard bite his arm so Raphtalia can easily slice it down. After that, Naofumi uses a fragment to level himself up. Raphtalia levels up too. It feels like the first season when they were taking down monster balloons. Naofumi tells the girls they need to defeat more monsters to boost their levels a bit. After battling a bunch of low-level monsters all day, the girls get tired and decide to drink some water from a lake. While they're doing that, a Kappa jumps out of the water. Naofumi jumps in front of the monster to protect the girls. He takes a hit from the Kappa but is ready to take the pain, since the girls are still low level and he doesn't want to put them in danger. Just when the monster is about to take out Raphtalia, a mysterious helper shows up to save them. She casts a spell and takes down the monster. She introduces herself as Kizuna, one of the cardinal heroes, and her title is the Hunting Hero. They're both surprised to learn they're both cardinal heroes but haven't heard of each other's titles before. Kizuna tells them to follow her so she can help with their wounds. She leads them back to her place, which is the same cell they woke up in. Apparently, she's the one who found them when they landed in this world and took care of them. She reveals she's been separated from her teammates since she got kidnapped by an enemy country and locked up. Naofumi asks if she knows about the waves, but she says she doesn't. She says she was brought into this world for a different purpose. Naofumi is taken aback because Berg and the others know about the waves. Kizuna perks up when Naofumi mentions Berg and Glass. She rushes over to him and says that Glass is her best friend. Naofumi starts to doubt Kizuna when he hears she's friends with Glass, whom he sees as a monster. Kizuna invites the group to eat. Naofumi hesitates to try the food she offers. Kizuna reminds him that she saved his life, so she wouldn't harm him. Then she pulls out her cardinal weapon and attacks Naofumi with it. She cuts his neck, but he doesn't feel any pain. She explains that her weapon can attack but can't actually hurt anyone. This gives Naofumi and his crew a bit of trust to eat Kizuna's food. She provides raw ingredients, and Naofumi ends up cooking them. Raphtalia is going to eat more since she's still growing. Naofumi shares their plans to leave, but Kizuna tells them they can't. They're in a prison, the Infinite Labyrinth, which is a temporal prison. Once you're in, you can never get out. She lost track of time after the first few years but hasn't given up. She's still looking for a way out. She promises to show them around when morning comes and assures them there are no monsters that can get in. The next day, Kizuna takes the group to a building on the island. She's cleared it of monsters before and thinks it might have an exit, but she hasn't found it yet. She shows them a portal that looks like it could lead out, but it's blocked. Naofumi suggests that while it might not be an exit, it's definitely a glitch. Kizuna then hands Naofumi the seed he asked her to make. He uses his power to boost the seed's growth, and it expands rapidly, breaking through the glitch. Naofumi and his friends, including Kizuna, quickly jump into the glitch. They soon find themselves in a different location, and Kizuna recognizes it as the world where she was summoned. She hugs Naofumi and thanks him for the help, then hugs Raphtalia and Rishia too. She expresses her joy at no longer being alone. The group heads deeper into the countryside. Kizuna realizes there's a countdown to the waves, which are only 10 days away. She reveals they're in the country that locked her up, and they need to escape before they get caught again. Their plan is to reach the country that summoned Kizuna, called Sikul. Kizuna mentions she has a teleportation ability, but she needs a special tool to use it, the Dragon Hourglass. Naofumi is surprised to learn they can use the hourglass for that in this world. They'll have to make their way to the church that has the device while dodging capture. Kizuna says it'll take them 3 days to reach the hourglass, and they can level up and buy supplies along the way. When they arrive at a village, Kizuna tells Naofumi about the different races in the country. There are elves, demi-humans like Raphtalia, and spirit people. Glass is one of the spirit people, which explains her immense power. However, they heal naturally, and magic or healing items don't work on them. Naofumi figures out why his Soul Eater shield does more damage to Glass. The area feels like a Japanese setting, with its clothing and culture. They need a place to rest and grab a bite. Kizuna offers to sell some drop items she doesn't need to cover their expenses. That night, Naofumi shares that he has soul-soothing potions that help recover SP, which the spirit people will definitely want. They plan to get started on that the next day. The next day, Naofumi and his crew put on masks and set up in a public spot to promote their products. It doesn't take long for spirit people to swarm in and buy everything up. They sell out quickly and promise to bring more the next day. The following day, they switch to an auction style to rake in even more cash while selling the potions. Everyone wants them, and they keep raising the price until the highest bidder wins. They manage to gather a ton of funds, enough to buy new weapons and armor. They get themselves a pass and head toward the capital. They arrive in the capital and see a crowd gathered outside a building. They start to worry that the authorities have caught wind of Kizuna's escape from prison. They ask someone in the crowd what's going on. The person tells them that a genius mage from another country has figured out how regular folks can use the hourglass. The heroes used to be the only ones who could use it, but now this mage has found a way to make it accessible to everyone. The crowd is there for a demonstration. Naofumi suspects that the genius mage is none other than Kyo. They're shocked when someone who isn't Kyo steps out of the building. The crowd calls him Kazuki. From the way he talks, Naofumi can tell Kazuki is just as nasty as Kyo. The group decides to find an inn for the night. The girls play in the snow before heading to their room. They've got 6 days before the waves hit. Naofumi says they need to find Philo and take down Kyo before then. They can't afford to waste any time. Plus, Raphtalia and Rishia aren't back to their usual selves. Now Fumi is also stuck using a sword that's only good for defense. Kizuna's vassal weapon can't hurt humans. Seems like they've got a lot on their plate. Since time is tight, they plan to head to the hourglass that night. Kizuna just needs to touch the glass, and they'll warp straight to Sekul. That night, they make their way to the hourglass. When they get there, they find nothing. Before they know it, they're surrounded by guards. Looks like they walked right into a trap. They manage to fight their way through the guards and escape. Kizuna says the hourglass will be in the center of the mansion, so that's where they need to go. They start searching the compound, and eventually find the hourglass. But Kazuki and his crew are there too. Now Fumi and his friends are surrounded by guards. Kazuki reveals he's working for Kyo, who's tasked him with capturing them, dead or alive. Now Fumi uses his shield to take out the guards and tells Kizuna to head to the hourglass. Kizuna reaches the hourglass and activates it. The effects hit all of them at once. Suddenly, it disappears from Raphtalia, and they hear Kyo's voice laughing at them. Once the teleportation spell is activated, it can't be cancelled. Kyo reveals he's taking Raphtalia to his lab for science. Naofumi, Rishia, and Kizuna have to leave while Raphtalia is left behind. The trio makes it to the other side, which is Sekul, but now Fumi is fuming because they had to leave Raphtalia behind. He wants Kizuna to take them back, but she finds out that the device has been shut down from the other end. She tells Naofumi to chill out. She knows someone who can help them. Just then, two guys who know Kizuna show up, surprised to see her back. She tells them to get her someone named Ethnobalt. Meanwhile, Philo is being messed with by a slave merchant. Kizuna starts chatting with the priests about how she was locked up by their neighboring nation. They see it as a sign of hostility that needs to be reported ASAP. Kizuna spills the beans that Naofumi helped her escape the labyrinth. She tells them Naofumi is also a cardinal hero from another world. The moment she says this, the priest calls for the guards, scared that Naofumi is there to wreck their world. Kizuna insists Naofumi can't do that because he's actually the one who helped her escape. Naofumi isn't ready to hear the nonsense they're spouting. He's still boiling with anger. He starts to leave, but a white-haired guy stops him. Kizuna calls him Ethnobalt. Looks like he's the guy she was talking about. Ethnobalt is the wielder of the boat vassal weapon, and he's a hero too. Kizuna reunites with her Shikigami, Chris, and reveals that she and Glass made it. This will help them find Glass. Naofumi can also make one to locate Raphtalia and Philo. All he needs is his tomato sauce and something to act as a Shikigami catalyst. The catalyst can just be a strand of her hair. Naofumi pulls out a strand of Raphtalia's hair from his shield. What's left is his tomato sauce. The ritual to create the Shikigami begins. It goes faster than usual, and the Shikigami forms in no time, surprising Ethnobalt since it's not supposed to happen that quickly. The Shikigami takes the shape of a small fox. Now Fumi can see Raphtalia's eyes through it. The fact that the Shikigami was created means the catalyst owner is still alive and okay. Now Fumi is ready to jump into finding Raphtalia right away. Just then, he notices something's off about Ethnobalt. Ethnobalt suddenly transforms into a rabbit right in front of them. Kizuna explains that Ethnobalt is from the monster species race and doesn't like showing his rabbit side to people. The fact that he did means he now trusts Naofumi. Ethnobalt's boat will take them to the person they're looking for. The crew heads to a low-key spot so Ethnobalt can summon his boat. Turns out, the boat is way bigger than Naofumi thought it would be. They pull out a map and have Chris and the new Shikigami point to where their targets are. They discover that both Glass and Raphtalia are being held in the same place. The boat's teleportation kicks in, and they quickly find themselves at the target location. They land the boat on the outskirts to stay under the radar. Ethnobalt will hang back and wait for their signal. As they stroll through town, Naofumi hears a familiar voice and rushes back to check it out. They spot a circus performer mistreating Philo, using her as a sideshow for the crowd. Naofumi gets furious and is about to make a scene, but his buddy stops him, reminding him they're on a stealth mission. They decide to sneak in later that night to rescue Philo without a scratch. That night, they break into the place where the performer is keeping his merchandise. They find Philo in her bird form locked in a cage. They manage to smash the talisman that's keeping her from transforming, and she joyfully reunites with her master. Just as they're freeing Philo, the entertainer shows up. Naofumi uses his shield to create a mental illusion, leaving the guy in mental agony. He spills the beans that he's the son of a noble and is just using the sideshow to rake in cash. He reveals that his dad gave him Philo after finding her passed out. The team suspects Kyo must have been the one who handed Philo over to the noble. Since there are no Philolials in this world, Philo has been classified as a fairy. The next day, Philo meets Raphtalia's Shikigami and decides to name the beast Raph. They find out they're now wanted, but the wanted posters don't have a clear pic of them since it was dark. Suddenly, Naofumi realizes he can't see Raphtalia's stats anymore. He also can't access her slave crest. In the next scene, Raphtalia gets thrown into a cell where her powers are pretty much useless. When she looks back, she sees that Berg and his crew are stuck in the same cell with her. They're all shocked to see each other there. The trio spills the beans that everything that went down was Kyo's scheme. He totally tricked them into following him through the portal and then separated them. Berg and his buddies ended up in prison while Raphtalia, Naofumi, and Rishia got sent to a labyrinth. They decide to to team up to escape from Kyo. Glass is furious when she finds out her friend has been stuck in the labyrinth this whole time. She thanks Raphtalia for rescuing Kazuna and promises to help get her back to Naofumi too. Berg explains that the prison they're in is called the Prison of Exhaustion. It's constantly draining their powers, thanks to the talisman the guards are wearing. But the trio still has their weapons because you can't just take them away from the wielder. It's the same deal with the cardinal weapons. Raphtalia asks if they can still use their abilities even though they're weakened, and the trio says yes. Then, Raphtalia uses her illusion magic to trick the guards into thinking they've escaped. As soon as the guards walk in, they grab the talisman from one of them and make a break for it before getting caught. Naofumi can't wait to be reunited with her master. The group decides to level up Raphtalia before they meet up with Naofumi. They find a gem to sell and buy some food to chow down on. Raphtalia needs to eat a lot to keep functioning. After that, they hit the forest for some training sessions. Raphtalia grows a bit during the training. With her getting bigger, Glass offers to make her a new kimono. That night, Therese and Berg keep watch while Glass works on the new kimono for Raphtalia. They know half the town will be searching for them, so they need to stay super cautious. The next morning, Berg and the others find out that a new hero is about to emerge in their world. This hero will wield the katana vassal weapon, and they're on the lookout for the right person to take on that role. Glass mentions that having a hero around could shift the military balance between nations. Berg wants to check out the installation ceremony to see who's going to be chosen as the rightful wielder of the weapon. When they arrive at the event, Berg tells Raphtalia that the weapon picks its own wielder. A bunch of adventurers have tried to use it but failed. Then, the next candidate is called, and Raphtalia is stunned to see Kazuki stepping up. But as soon as Kazuki touches the weapon, it vanishes from his grasp. Out of nowhere, Raphtalia finds herself holding the katana, and she's totally shocked. She tries to ditch the katana, but it's stuck with her now. Once you get a vassal weapon, there's no getting rid of it. She bolts from the scene before the guards can catch her. To her surprise, she discovers that her slave crest has vanished. Suddenly, she feels herself getting bigger and reaches her adult form as a demi-human. Raphtalia keeps running with the guards hot on her heels. She's determined to survive and find Naofumi. She reaches the front of a building that looks like a shrine. Just then, a woman steps out to help her. The woman explains that her clan has been serving the katana vassal weapon for generations. Raphtalia still can't believe she's a hero now, but the woman reassures her that the weapon chose her and doesn't make mistakes. She dresses Raphtalia in hero's clothes. Raphtalia thanks her and says goodbye, only to step outside and find Kazuki and the guards waiting for her. Raphtalia tells Kazuki to scram because she doesn't want any trouble, but he's not having it. He accuses her of stealing the sword from him and charges after her. She takes him down without even trying. Just then, two tigers controlled by Kazuki show up. Raphtalia figures out that the tigers are just like the spirit tortoise. Kazuki brags about controlling the holy beasts and sends them after her, but she easily cuts them down. She pleads with Kazuki again to just back off. Raphtalia slices Kazuki with a move that pins him in place. If he tries to move, he'll get sliced in half. He'll be free once a mage heals him. Before she leaves, Raphtalia tells him to pass a message to Kyo. The shield hero is coming for revenge. She makes it to the bottom of the stairs, but is already feeling weak. Another guardian beast appears to attack her, but Naofumi shows up just in time to block the tiger's strike. Philo and Kazuna deliver the final blow to the beast. Raphtalia is overjoyed to reunite with her friends. Naofumi tells her she's free now that her slave crest is gone. After their reunion, Kizuna can't wait to take on the waves. She has no idea what the waves look like since she was summoned to take down the Dragon King. There are 3 days until the waves show up. Philo can now fly because of the changes in this world, but she's lost most of her fighting skills. Meanwhile, Kazuki makes a move when he shouldn't have and gets sliced in half. One of Kyo's associates asks if they can take out the shield and katana heroes. Naofumi and the crew send a message to Ethnobalt to come pick them up. The 3 vassal heroes reunite with them, and Glass is super excited to see Kazuna. Kazuna gets mad when she learns her friends traveled to Naofumi's world to try and take them out. She sees her friends as the villains here. While she's ranting, Berg gets called away. Naofumi's group finds out that Berg is the king of Sikul. Kizuna continues, telling her friends she'll find a way to save both their world and Naofumi's. She insists it's wrong for them to plan on destroying Naofumi's world and reassures Naofumi that she wants to help him beat Kyo. Meanwhile, Kyo has taken Kazuki's body to his lab, promising Kazuki's associates that he can bring him back to life. He's thrown Kazuki into a tube filled with some kind of fluid. The next day, the team heads out to gear up for their fight against Kyo. They stop by a weapon shop, and the owner, Romina, is shocked to see Kazuna after so many years. Kazuna gets straight to the point, explaining why they're there. She wants the best gear Romina can offer, and hands over samples of what they need, telling her they need everything done by the end of the night. Suddenly, they hear a commotion outside. When they check it out, they're confronted by Kyo's associate, Yomogi, who's there to take them out for Kyo. They're surprised to see her coming alone to face them. She attacks, but they don't take her seriously until they realize she's actually strong. Her sword seems super powerful with how it moves and the damage it deals. Berg and his buddy jump in to help, pushing Yomogi back. She's already panting from exhaustion but isn't ready to throw in the towel. She powers up her sword again. The group figures out that something's off with the sword. The way it moves and acts is just weird. They ask Yomogi where she got it, and she says Kyo made it for her. They tell her to ditch the sword right away because it gives them a bad vibe. Just then, the sword starts acting up. It suddenly grows these weird attachments and tries to wrap around Yomogi, but Kizuna jumps in and cuts them off. The rest of the heroes join in with their combo attack until the sword is finally smashed to bits. After it's destroyed, Kizuna tries to have a chill chat with Yomogi. She learns that Kyo wants to take out Yomogi and the heroes with the sword. The sword would have killed her too, even if she managed to take out the heroes. Yomogi doesn't buy it because she sees Kyo as a good guy. She insists Kyo is just trying to achieve a simple goal, finding a way to stop the waves. Later, Kizuna and the crew follow Yomogi to Kizuna's place. Kizuna wants to convince Yomogi to spill what she knows. Naofumi isn't cool with Yomogi because of Kyo's past actions. Kyo has taken out a lot of people, and Ost is one of them. He thinks they shouldn't treat Yomogi like a friend, so he walks off. The rest of the group follows suit, leaving Kizuna alone with Yomogi. Once they're in her room, Kizuna frees Yomogi's hands to make her comfy. Yomogi relaxes and starts chatting easily with Kizuna. She reveals that Kyo was her childhood buddy. He was always a bit of a loner, and didn't talk much. He's been a genius since he was a kid, always reading up on the waves and everything else. He's always wanted to find a way to stop the waves. Yomogi then tells Kizuna she's ready to fight with them if they really have a plan to take down Kyo. Kizuna reassures her that they just want to defeat him to talk things out, not to eliminate him. The next day, Naofumi and his crew head to the weapon shop to pick up the gear they ordered. While they're there, they notice the wave countdown suddenly hits 0, and the waves show up out of nowhere. Kyo is in his lab, messing around with some stuff. While the team is still trying to figure things out, Ethnobalt shows up in his boat and tells everyone to hop in. Yomogi then spills the beans that the waves are all Kyo's doing. He used the power he snagged from the spirit tortoise to call forth those waves. She thought Kyo was trying to stop them, so she's been helping him. Now, feeling like a total fool, she's ready to team up with the group to take Kyo down. Naofumi tells Yomogi to take him to Kyo so he can defeat him. She leads Naofumi, Philo, Raftalia, and Rishia to Kyo's lab, while the others stick around to handle the monsters that are popping up everywhere. Once they step into the lab, they find humans fused with copies of guardian beasts. These guys are now chimeras. The chimeras are Kazuki's crew, and they're there to take down Naofumi and his friends because of what happened to Kazuki. The girls are swinging the same kind of swords Yomogi had earlier. Naofumi can't believe Kyo managed to convince the girls to be his sacrificial pawns. The chimeras charge at the group, but Raftalia slices them down in one go. A chain reaction kicks off with the swords, and Naofumi realizes they're about to blow up. He quickly creates several layers of shields to protect himself and his friends. The swords explode, but Naofumi and his crew are safe. Just then, Kyo shows up, and he's got Kazuki with him. They quickly figure out that this isn't the real Kazuki. Kyo has taken someone else's soul and shoved it into Kazuki's dead body. The soul inside Kazuki belongs to the Mirror Hero. Kyo leaves the Mirror Hero to deal with the group. Raftalia tells Naofumi to let them handle the zombie while he goes after Kyo. Naofumi and Rishia chase after Kyo, finding him chilling in a room, mocking them. He even threatens to head back to their world and wipe out Vittoria to steal her power too. Everything he says just gets under Naofumi's skin, making him angrier. Fuming, he activates the Rage Shield. Kyo keeps poking at him to fuel his anger. Naofumi gets so worked up that the Rage Shield starts to take over. Rishia tries to keep him in check, but there's not much she can do. She moves closer to Naofumi, but he grabs her neck and starts saying hurtful stuff. Kyo is loving every second of this. His plan is going perfectly. After throwing out all the nasty things he wants to say, Rishia tells him she doesn't blame him. She's even glad to know what Naofumi really thinks of her, but she's sure Naofumi cares about Philo and Raftalia. She urges him to pull himself together for those two girls. With her words, Naofumi starts to regain control bit by bit. Kyo is furious that Rishia has messed up his plans. Kyo is trying to take Naofumi out, but Rishia steps in and blocks all his moves, reminding him that he's still weak. He's still relying on the Spirit Tortoise's power to get by. Naofumi is struggling to regain control of himself. He finally gets a grip when Ost's spirit shows up and tells him he doesn't need the dragon's power to do what he wants. After that, Naofumi snaps back to his senses, and the rage inside him starts to fade. He opens his eyes and sees Philo and Raftalia right next to him. He powers up his shield and aims it at Kyo. Philo and Raftalia have taken down the zombie and snagged the mirror weapon. They combine the mirror weapon with Naofumi's shield, boosting his power and strength. Now, he can go toe-to-toe with Kyo, even with the souls he's using to amp himself up. Kyo gets taken down, and the waves clear up right away. The vassal book is left behind too. Yomogi thanks the shield hero for taking out Kyo. After defeating him and getting the Spirit Tortoise's power back, Naofumi and his crew decide to stick around until the next wave hits so they can ride it home. But then they realize they're about to be sent back to their world since their mission is done. The countdown starts. and their bodies begin to glow. Kizuna thanks Naofumi as he and his friends head back home. Once they're back, the queen rewards Naofumi with the title of Viscount for defeating the spirit tortoise. Naofumi also finds out that the 3 cardinal heroes teamed up to take down the last wave that showed up. Next up, Naofumi and his crew decide to take a fun trip. They stop by a riverside to grab some food and chill out. Philo and Raphtalia chat about how much they miss Kizuna. Rashia still can't figure out how to start a fire because she won't learn survival skills from Kizuna. Philo wishes she could still fly in this world. After that, the girls hit up a store to pick out dresses they think Naofumi would like. They spend hours sifting through all the clothes. Eventually, they each choose a dress for one another. They step out of the room and show off their outfits to Naofumi, asking him to pick the best one. But Naofumi ends up talking about stats and attack power instead. Meanwhile, Yomogi and Kizuna are out fishing. While they're at it, they keep chatting about Naofumi and his friends. Kizuna shares her memories of the island where she was trapped. When she first arrived, she was full of energy and determined to escape. She started to adapt to island life, catching fish and making them her meals. But soon, she got tired of plain fish and decided to add some salt. Then, she built a boat to try and reach the horizon to see if there was a way out. When she got there, it turned out to be another dead end. Frustrated, she even thought about ending it all, but couldn't go through with it. To keep herself company, she made a mannequin to talk to. She shared her dreams with it, even asking if she should spice up her food or keep it simple. Eventually, she started whipping up delicious meals with the ingredients she found on the island. One day, while patrolling, she spotted Naofumi and his friends landing like shooting stars. That's how she met them, and they later helped her escape the island. With that, she wraps up her story for Yomogi. Yomogi then admits she's slowly forgetting Kyo's face, even though they grew up together. Kizuna encourages her to focus on the fun memories instead of the sad ones. Yomogi recalls a time in the lab when Kyo was searching for his glasses before he went to the other world for the spirit tortoise power. That was the last time she had fun with him. After saying this, Yomogi manages to remember him. She thanks Kizuna for the support, and they decide to head out before their people start looking for them. Back in Naofumi's world, Philo is trying to fly with the wagon. She's still struggling to accept that she's now a flightless bird. She wishes she could soar with the wagon instead of just pulling it. Raphtalia mentions that if Ost were still around, she could have used her gravity magic to make Philo feel like she was flying. They reminisce about the night Ost was giving them a talk about mating, saying it's a beautiful experience, and Raphtalia has been wanting to mate with Naofumi ever since. Even Philo wants to mate with Naofumi. Soon, the group arrives at a spot where they want to honor Ost. They toss flowers off the cliff in her memory and for her sacrifice. As they start to leave, Naofumi looks back and sees Ost's spirit smiling at them. He smiles back, saying goodbye to her.